Owls.
Turn on Night Owls.
Greatest Hits Radio.
And now, the forerunner to Facebook, where your words tell 1,000 Instagrams. Use your phone for making that call and get talking across the Northeast, please. Because this is Night Owls with Alan Robson.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Night Owls. Alan Robson with you. And we've got a topic that we want you to have a shout at. Pick up your telephone, give us a ring, 0191 488 3188, or you can WhatsApp us, 07863 431 837. And if you save that into your phone, it'll be easier for you to text us all kinds of stuff, because I know you're going to be wanting to tonight. Tonight's challenge: what do women want to change about men, and what would men like to change about women? Now, if you happen to be a different group in between those two, for there are many, then you can have an opinion on either side. Fair dues. So, what men would like to change about women, what women would like to change about men, what kind of things? Now, I mention this because I do not wish to be sexist remotely. However, somebody had a pop at me this week, and it was, I'm parked in a car parking space. I'm waiting for my partner to come out the supermarket. The car next to me pulls up and is right on the lane. You know, the lane, right on the lane. So when they try and open the door, they've only got about 6-7 inches, and they can't get out, and eventually they manage to, this little old fella manages to kind of creep out. He's got his hand on the door to make sure it doesn't bump. The answer to this, of course, is park in the middle of a parking bay, but that wasn't going to happen. So anyway, I'm sitting there. They happen to come back to their vehicle first, and she puts her stuff in the back of the car, shuts the back flap, and then pushes the trolley to where the trolleys are. And she looks at me full in the face and she says, "And if this clown hadn't parked there, we'd be able to get in and out. It's not my fault he's got a bus." I haven't got a bus, as it happens. However, she continues to push the trolley, and the man, looking embarrassed like men do under said circumstance, I open the window and I say, hey, look, if you want me to drive forward so you can get in, no problem, and then I'll just reverse back into the slot. And he says, "No, don't bother, son. You know what women are like." Men know what women are like. Women know what men are like. So what is it that you would like to change? Because let's face it, you know, there was a book many years ago called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And it does seem that creatures with testicles are completely unlike any other species, including the female of it. So give me a ring. What would you change about men? Men, what would you change about women? Okay? Now, when this couple next to me pulled away, and she pulled out just a little bit, he got in the car, they drove off. It was never an issue, right? Not in my head and not in the man's head. But it was a big issue, because that woman, I could read her lips. She was swearing about me all the time when she was driving past me. Now, okay, what would you change about women? What would you change about men? Now, you got to remember, I am a huge fan of the female species, so try to be kind. But what would you change about men? What would you change about women? Pick up your telephone, give us a ring. Other things, Putin, according to, I got a letter from a Russian lady Putin only wants to keep missiles away from neighboring states so that nobody's holding a gun against his head. And she sent me a link to one of Putin's speeches from about 3 months ago, where he told Western journalists nobody wants missiles pointing at them from their porch. And he considers those states bordering his country as his porch. Also, £350 a month to look after a Ukrainian or their families. How would you feel about taking on that? And also, just a huge thank you. Half a dozen of you have written in about the ghost hunts. You're really loving them, apparently, especially liking their history. And last week, incredible World War II and World War I stories. So thank you very much for joining in, and thanks especially to those supporting. Now, William Hurt, I've just heard on the news there, has passed. Bumped into him in an airport many years ago. Lovely, sincere gentleman. Loved him. And what a shame that he's gone. He'll be well thought of. Also, most neighbours apparently fall out with their next door neighbour over fences. So what stories do you have about the fences? Or what reason is it that you fell out with your partner? I'm just asking Tony in because this isn't my screen. You've not put my screen on, so I can't. Oh, there you go. It's too easy. Because I want to press buttons, because I got buttons to press. Stories that you may wish to comment on, like memories, kind of wartime memories, like a soldier reliving shooting someone.
When we first went into Iraq, I had to take a shot that ended with a fatality.
Right.
And that was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. My world sort of stopped at that point, and it's very hard. We're trained to a high level to take the shots and to deal with pressure.
Sure.
But when you actually do it, your world effectively ends. It's the worst feeling in the world.
And you realised that you'd hit someone. Presumably you see that through your sight?
Yeah, you see it through your sight. You watch the person fly. At the time, it's a target. Your mind sees it as a target. You see it as your training takes over. You don't get the realism of it all. It's a target. You aim at the centre of the mass. You take the shot.
Sure.
You're protecting yourself. You protect the person next to you.
So you did exactly the right.
Shot's gone,
all of us at home are saying, "Great shot, well done, thank you for doing your job."
Alan, it's not like that at all. In theory, it sounds fantastic that's the way the world works, but that's not the way the world works. You get governed by a white card that dictates when you can and can't shoot, what's deemed as effective fire, what's deemed as non-effective fire.
Right.
Obviously, once that shot's gone, you can't do anything to stop that shot after that's gone.
No, of course not.
And it's at that point that the realization hits, and then your world spins, and then you get back into base, and it's paperwork, and it's questions and justifying everything, and then you stop, and then you go home to your family, and you see your wife, your children, and then you relive that moment, and you relive that moment for the rest of your life. And nothing I ever do now will ever take that away. I'll always see that image. I was haunted by that image. I've been through counselling and everything because of that image. It effectively destroyed my life as much as it unfortunately ended somebody else's.
And you've got to realise this kind of thing's happening right now in a country, Ukraine, where we have friends, where we have family. Arthur, greetings from Central Scotland. I wouldn't change anything about my partner. She is perfect in every way and watching over my shoulder as I write this. I know exactly what you mean. Joe, I have an amazingly wonderful husband that I wouldn't change or part with for anything. He's awesome, says Joe. Press Hardy, my uncle gets one nose hair that's about 2 centimetres out of his nose. And every time my auntie tells him about it, he goes away to fix it, but it comes back in a few days. Toon Mam says, hi, Alan. If I could change one thing about my dad, it would be his terrible taste in films. I love the way they spell films. F-I-L-U-M-S, films. Every Christmas, he makes us watch The Godfather. I want to watch Stuart Little. Yeah, I can't blame you. With his little car. It's very cool. 01914 488 3188. We played one clip of Wartime. I'm only going to play you one more for the moment. And this is Alan in Seam. My goodness.
Officer got shot.
Right.
And come through his mouth and come over his neck.
Did you see that? Were you there with him at the time?
Yeah.
Oh, how do you live with visions in your head of that kind of stuff?
Well, that's not the worst of it.
No?
My best friend got blew up.
Oh, no. Where was this? Was this in Ireland too?
Yeah. A lamppost bomb.
A lamppost bomb. So they put a bomb next to a lamppost.
There was two police officers.
Right.
Irish.
Uh-huh.
There was a bomb in the post.
Right.
Blew them up.
Uh-huh.
150 pieces.
And
We had to pick them up.
you had to pick up your friend's pieces.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible. That is.
Woman. Plastic bags.
Pick up the parts of his body in plastic bags.
Yeah, and these 150 bits.
150 pieces. I just don't know how you guys can carry that kind of image in your head and live with it. It's horrific. Fingers crossed we don't have to hear any more stories. So let's hope this whole thing's over soon. One thing that's come across, EL, I don't know whether it's Elaine or Eleanor, but EL says, why is it that men have to be so pervy? That's a good question. Why are men so pervy? We got stories of pervy.
I had this driving instructor, Alan, and I was about 38 at the time, and I think he was about 73.
Oh, Jesus,
and
right.
He started making very suggestive comments in the car to the point that it become unbearable, Alan. Asked us when was the last time I'd done the 69
What?
per hour.
No.
And it got to where I got like a new instructor after that.
Right, I should think so. Did you report him? Because that's out of
She
order.
wanted us to, and I thought, his age, and I felt awful.
Right.
I thought, well, I shouldn't have put up when I felt I was uncomfortable, but I thought, just let it go.
Right.
My first test, I was doing a parallel park,
Yeah.
and a cat shot out from the car behind and went under my car.
No.
And with the shock, I stared towards, I was looking at the cat through the rear view mirror. And then I forgot which way I'd steered to put the bloody car back. Wait, that was it.
Nightmare. 0191 488 3188. Get your calls in. What would you change? Well, we got somebody who might just want to change something. Catherine's with us in Sunderland. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Alan.
Hello, darling. So tell me your story. What would you change?
Well, there was only one thing that would change about my partner.
Right.
And that would be his farting.
Right. Okay. Is this a regular thing? Because I always thought
Yes,
that was
it
one of
is.
the things that polite people, even when they're married, they're discreet.
Yes.
I'm going to go to the toilet, shut the door, put some loud
No,
music
the-
on before the
the
orchestra
smells-
begins. Oh,
The
right.
smells that emanates from
Ugh.
his,
What are you feeding him? Are you feeding him the wrong food, Catherine? Is that to
Well,
blame?
we're both on the Slimming World diet.
Oh, blimey, right, okay.
Because we're getting married next month.
Right, so you want to look as good as you possibly can for the
Yeah.
special day. I understand that. So
Yeah.
technically, you should be tooting as much as he is then.
I do, but not as much as him.
So how do you control it then? I mean, are you able to kind of stifle or what do you do? Or?
Yeah, I suppose I do.
So do you keep, those air fresheners?
Yes.
Do you keep one kind of clenched between your buttocks just in case?
I have one in every room.
Wait,
I have one in every room.
Well, you're going to need one with the way he's going on. How come he's so smelly then?
I don't know. I mean, he'll sort of let one go, and sometimes it's like embarrassing because it's like outside when there's somebody behind us.
And they're walking straight into the guff, really, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's never good. Is he noisy with it as well? Because the thing I noticed from even when I was really small, people would store them up until they got into a classroom. And then when the teacher's choking on the board, you'd hear, "Rrrr." one would go, and all the other kids would giggle and laugh and all the rest of it. Does he take great pride in them? Does he?
Yes, he does.
You see,
That's the only thing. That's the only thing that I would change about him.
Yeah.
Because apart from that, he's a true gentleman.
Yeah, but if you're sitting watching a film and all of a sudden the entire room is filled with an unpleasant gas, that's not great, is it? If you think about it.
I know.
Can he
I
not?
know.
Could he not get up and stick his bum out the window or something? Or can you not just keep a can of freshener next to him? You know.
Yeah. Even the cat goes out the room, Alan.
Jeez, the cat's thinking he's not blaming that one on me, and off he goes. Brilliant.
Yeah, because he'll say to me, "Oh, it's not me, it's the cat." I'll say, "How can it be the cat?"
He's gone.
You know, it's not. It's you.
Yeah. You know him only too well, but that's the only thing you'd change. So he's obviously a fairly special fella if you can put up with all that kind of stuff.
Oh, he is. He's really special, Alan. I mean, we're getting married next month, so I love him to bits.
How's the diet going? Are you close to it or?
I've lost 2 stone. He's lost 2.5 stone.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's excellent. So presumably you'll be dieting right up to the day, I suppose.
Well, I'm trying to, but
it's hard.
Sometimes it's a bit hard.
No, absolutely. I discovered last week that I'd put 4 pound on. So I've been jogging like crazy and eating light, salads and all the stuff.
I know.
I'm sorry, but I like all the stuff that you like. I like all the proper food. Fry it. Don't just leave it like that. Fry it. That's what I want. But I've lost me 4 pounds that I put on last week. So it obviously works, but I hate it. But I'm going to keep cracking on. But it's a nightmare. I would stop tomorrow and bathe in Cadbury's cream eggs if I had the chance. But
I did have a Cadbury's caramel earlier on. I've never had one of those for months.
I want that diet, Catherine. I want that diet too. I don't blame you. Hey, a treat every now and then just helps your body get back to normal. That's the business.
It does.
Hey, well, good luck for the wedding. I hope it goes really sweet for the pair
thanks,
of you.
Alan.
And be happy. Thanks,
Thank
Catherine.
You, Alan.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh,
bye.
She's lovely. Getting married as well. Brill. So she wouldn't change much. But in fairness, I've always hated the F word that she used there. Not the other F word. The F word for break and win. Always hated it. Don't feel that you can't use it because you can. Understandable. I get it. I just never liked it because I never liked it when kids let off during lessons at school, or you're in a car and one of your mates will do it and think it's hilarious. It isn't hilarious. No, everybody's winding the windows down. Crazy. 0191 488 3188. And a message has come in. Sir Rod Stewart has been filmed fixing the road near his home because he claims nobody can be bothered to do it. He says people are bashing their cars up, so he decided to take matters into his own hands. I saw that. I thought that's brilliant. That's being proper. And it's weird because I used to live fairly close to a really posh private school. The place I was in wasn't posh, but the school up the top of the hill was. And the roads leading to Poshville, if there was a dent the size of a marble, somebody filled it in. The council just looked after it immaculately because it was a posh school bringing presumably a canny bit of money in. And if you're not living in a posh school or anywhere near a posh school, quite often you've got to fill in your own potholes. I've had to do it myself as well. Nightmare, but has to be done. 0191 488 3188. Time for a little piece of music for We Are Greatest Hits Radio Northeast. Thank you very much for being with us. Piece of music that I haven't heard for a long time and absolutely love from the Steve Miller Band.
Alan Robson's Night Owls.
The phone-in that gets you talking.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Got a few bits and pieces as well. Mark is setting up a campaign to try and get Paul McCartney to sing a Lennon song, Imagine, with a bunch of celebs to raise money for the Ukraine. I hope that goes well for you. Edith, who is in Jesmond in Newcastle, says she wants the Rasputin story of when we went across to Moscow and St. Petersburg. And where can we get it? It's robsonsworld.com. My personal site is robsonsworld.com. It's definitely on there, so good luck, enjoy. And this is just coming from Neil. Hi, Alan. If I could possibly change something about someone, it would be to get my next door neighbour to get out of her pajamas and get her to actually get dressed for once in her life. She wanders over to the shop over the road with her slippers on and a slap from the previous night and a jammies, well, a onesie on. She pops out for milk in a paper. She looks a right state. For God's sake, woman, get dressed, says Neil in South Shields. If you could change anything about men or a particular man, if you could change anything about a woman or a particular woman, feel free to tell me. And obviously, if you class yourself as an in-betweenie, for there are 1,000 different routes you can take in between those two things, you feel free to have a go at anybody or from any particular group. Absolutely open to the lot of it. So let's get busy. Lewis is next. Lewis is in Annan. Annan's an interesting place. It is the original home of the De Bruce family. D-E, separate word, B-R-U-S, French. Robert D. Bruce was the proper family name. Anyway, let's crack on because Lewis is in Annan. Hello, Lewis.
Hello. I didn't actually know that fact.
Well, there you go. Strange but true. Anyway, what can we do for you, Lewis? Thank you for that.
Yeah, so the first thing is things you change about relatives or people you know. Now, my stepbrother really infuriates me when I'm at home because he loves rock music. And I hate rock music, but basically I could be just in my room watching television or whatever.
Right.
And all you hear from upstairs is this banging guitar or this loud singing. Turn it off.
So what kind of music do you like, Lewis? Because I get the impression if you're watching the telly, it doesn't matter even if he's playing your favourites. It's still loud and you're still going to get irritated, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I quite like dance music, or I like pop. I like a bit of dance, a bit of rave. So
right,
even a wee bit of country doesn't go amiss.
You see, I'm a bit of a rock fan myself, so I see it from his. I remember all of the years growing up, me dad hammering on the wall, turn that bloody thing down, you know. So I kind of know where he's coming from because rock music has to be listened to loud. Yeah, you cannot say I want to listen to it. Just put it on 2. You know, doesn't quite work. But I understand when you're in the mood to get your groove on with your soul dance and all that kind of stuff. Do you not like a bit of volume?
Yeah, I suppose when it's from the other side, it can be frustrating. But
yeah,
I've had him knock on my door a couple of times, going, "Turn that down."
There you go. So I think a little bit of give and take. I understand. The only way you can get round it, and it's not, to me, I don't think it's the same. It's the headphone thing. You know, you and I remember once I had some people staying overnight. It wasn't you know, when you have friends over and they just don't leave. So you say, just keep on the side. There's a spare room. You can go and you have that. So I got up early in the morning. I want to listen to some music, and I put some headphones on. What you don't realize is you start singing, and yours is the only noise anybody hears. So you're going, since you've been gone, oh, it's a real mistake. So I don't trust headphones at all for that reason. But I mean, do you get on with them apart from musical differences?
Yeah, we do actually. When we first met, it was difficult.
Right.
2 families trying to bond, but actually, when you get to once you get to know them and you start living with them, it becomes easier. I mean, me and him both follow football, and
Right.
We wind each other up about that because he's a big Newcastle fan, so I deliberately just wind him up by saying I support Sunderland. But it's always a good laugh.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you like the antagonism a bit yourself. I mean, this is a question that it's kind of like new world question that people wouldn't have asked 30 years ago. Step family, do you love him?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's as good as it gets, man. You got yourself a brother. Yeah. And I always forget the word step, because you're living together, you're doing all this stuff. I think it's really cool that you've been lucky enough in life to come up with somebody that you can class as a brother. And you wind people up. Don't think real brothers and sisters don't too. You know, that's how it's supposed to be, really. There's always going to be a bit of edge somewhere.
Yeah, we have a good laugh, and
great.
It's all good. Yeah.
So you obviously care for him so much, then you're going to try and get into Iron Maiden for him, or Deep Purple.
I'll try.
I bet.
I'll try.
I bet. Hey, what else you got for us, Lewis? There was something else you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, something I find it's a bit contradictory because the issue in obviously the Russia-Ukraine thing is horrible.
Yeah.
We actually at the university are doing an Action for Ukraine week this week, so it's
good luck with it.
But Russian athletes in sport now, I know in the football, the Polish team, the English have come out, as have the Scots, I think, and said we will not, under any circumstances, play Russia.
Yeah.
Now they've obviously been removed from the World Cup qualifier, and I know that the Spartak Moscow were removed from the European.
Yeah.
But I find it a bit contradictory because they've done this in football.
Mm-hmm.
They've done it now in darts. I was reading an article that a number of Russian players have been banned from playing. Yeah, in a sport like tennis, the world number one, who's Russian actually, in the men's game, and a number of women players are still competing, but they have to compete under neutral flags.
Yeah.
So
that does sound.
I don't get why
it's not consistent. It's not consistent, is it? No, not at all. I wonder why that is.
Yeah. I mean, it's a difficult one because you go, well, the players are not directly responsible for this.
No.
But at the same time, you kind of do have to take a stand against Russia.
Mm.
I mean, it's different. I suppose if the player turns around and says, I will not play under a neutral flag, then I suppose it's a different thing. But I find it quite strange that some sports, i.e. football, have just said, no, you're out. But then in tennis, they're saying, well, as long as you play under a neutral flag, you can play.
No, I get it. There was an interesting thing this week. I don't know whether you saw it, Lewis, but one of the Chinese government spoke out against the violence, saying that it should stop immediately, which is good to hear, because the one thing you don't want is them saying, oh, I think those Russians are doing a great job. And they didn't say that. They said they were dead set against violence and it should end now. And what they also said was it was just wrong that countries in the West provided weapons for Ukraine, because it's just making things worse. They should have just let them go in, and then the world turns against Russia, and hopefully that would be enough for them to, okay, you've driven in, now drive out again. It's just they've been fighting and killing people now, and they've still only got 10% of the country. The Chinese see that and say they're on a hiding for nothing under those kind of circumstances, which is why everybody's worried they might use chemical or nuclear weapons to kind of speed things up.
Yeah, it's a worry because, I mean, if you just did nothing, there's a worry that they'd maybe get in quicker, they'd get further. I mean, Putin hasn't got what he wanted. I think he thought it'd be further than this at this stage. I don't think he's the kind of guy to sit around a table and try and negotiate. But I mean, it's a difficult one. Obviously, I hope it does stop.
Me too.
I worry that this could escalate further if other countries get involved. It could, dare I say it, World War III.
I don't be. People keep mentioning it, and let's just hope there's a bit more common sense than that. I think it could be the end of us all if you know. But then people are saying, well, maybe Putin's ill, maybe he wants to take everybody with him, and you think, oh, blimey. Let's just take it one step at a time and say at the present moment, it is something that could stop, and it legitimately people could get around a table and say, look, we're not going to put missiles facing Russia in Ukraine. And if that's all he wants in the grand scheme of things, I'm stunned that he couldn't get that with discussion without needing to fire missiles at innocent people in their homes. But hey, such is life. Lewis, thank you very much. Great hearing from you again. Cheers, man.
I'll speak to you soon.
Look forward to it,
Have a good
Bob.
night.
All the best, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, the Bonnie Scots, we love them. 0191 488 3188. Back after this.
Greatest Hits Radio.
the voice of the North.
Alan Robson's Night Owls, the phone-in that gets you talking.
Greatest hits radio.
Now, we know how much you guys like your ghosts and your myths, legends, history, ghouls, and all the stuff that we deliver every Friday night at 9 o'clock on Facebook and YouTube. And it seems we have inspired Finlay from Jarrow to come on with a ghost story of his own. Hi, Finlay.
Hello.
Hello, mate. Gather you got a ghost story for me. Tell me everything.
Well, no, I was seeking advice on because I've got a bit suspicion.
Right.
Because I'm trying to grow in my loft and I've got loads of holes that just keep coming up and up. And whenever, because this is a new house I'm living in.
Right.
And when I'm walking downstairs at night time and through the daytime where it's dimly lit, I can see shadows in the corner of my eye.
Right.
About 5 foot, and I just see a glimpse out the corner of my eye.
Right.
Just passing by us on like the bottom of the stairs and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Never since I've been going in the loft and put my plants in, it's just eruptions occurred and I'm having fiberglass ripped up, I'm having holes put in the ceiling, everything.
Holes in the explain the holes in the ceiling. How are you getting holes in the ceiling?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm just coming home from work and they're being there.
Right. And they, when you go up in the loft space where it's traditionally dark, if you switch the light off, can you see little dots of light so that the holes go all the way through?
No.
Right. So the holes in the ceiling might just be cracked plaster because it's a new house. Could just be that. But if the actual holes, I would always worry that there's somebody hiding in your loft. Forget about ghosts for the moment, because there have been thieves that have broken into people's property, hidden the loft and waited till you're out and then creep down and rob you. Hope that's not the case. I've always had a feeling about lofts anyway. But you mentioned it's a new house. What was on the ground before the house was built? Was it an existing housing estate that they've had to pull down, or are you out in the green belt? Whereabouts are you?
They pulled down what do you call it? I think it was a church. I'm not too sure.
Right. So, but it could well be that you're on old sacred ground, really. You could be on old church ground. So who knows what's under your house and what used to be on the ground before you were.
It's quite weird because like it stinks as well. The loft like absolutely stinks.
What of?
It's like I don't know, like a bit of like undercooked steak. You know what I mean? Rotten and.
Right. Well, that's not normal. Because when you get a new house, you like to think, "Oh, this is lovely and fresh. I'm the first person, and it's tremendous." But that's not what you're getting. It could be that you've got some dead critter that's died either up there or. I mentioned last week that I'd found in one of the properties that my mum used to live in. I went in the attic to clear it out, and I found a mummified cat in the corner. But when that was in there at first, it would have stank of death. I mean, there's no question about it. By the time I got to it, it had been there probably 20, 30 years. So there was not a hint of smell left.
It was all really good. I was living here for 2 months and like the landlord stopped coming. I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to wax some
Whoa,
stuff up
you know you cannot use Effies on the show, man. Finlay, thank you very much for coming on, but he's gone. He said the naughty word. 0191488. I know we've all heard it a million times, and you hear it on television from 9 o'clock these days. But on the wireless, we stay squeaky clean so Granny doesn't fall off the couch. 0191 488 3188. Now we have Stephen, who is in Wickham. Hello, Stephen.
Hello, you all right?
Yes, good, mate. What can we do for you?
I just want to basically tell a story that goes back 9 years, right up to present date.
Okay.
It's in relation to mental health services and the health ombudsman.
Right.
Basically, back in January 2013, my brother at the time, who I was the carer of, he'd been on medication for several years, but at that time he had a severe reaction to the medication he was on,
right,
which became life-threatening. He developed neutropenia of the blood, and because of that, they had to stop his medication abruptly.
Right.
And I believe he should have been admitted into hospital at the time, but they refused to do so, and they said they would monitor him at home.
Yeah.
So they would keep him down every day and check his blood to see if it was going to get any better or worse. And at the time, they also failed to administer other medications to help manage the inevitable withdrawal impacts of stopping the long-term medication he'd been on.
Right.
And when it got to the weekend, and I went round to see how he was, I found him half dead on the floor, having fits and seizures. His lips were dry. The whites of his eyes were completely red, the whole white. His left pupil was like a pinhole. He was delirious and deluded. He didn't know his name or how he was or what day it was or anything. So the first thing I done, I got him some water. I rang the crisis team to see if they could help and said the advisors take me in. So I rushed him to A&E. The A&E department diagnosed him as malnourished, dehydrated, and having panic attacks and things like that. So they prescribed him some medication, but they failed to administer it. They were supposed to keep him in the hospital, but they sent him home. I eventually got him back into hospital the following day, but he had to be detained onto a mental health ward. And I explained to the ward, I said, look, he's recently been diagnosed with being malnourished, dehydrated, and I said he's lost a lot of weight. So can you keep an eye on his weight and nutrition? They said they would. When I went back to see him, I asked what his weight was and things, and they hadn't weighed him, they hadn't kept an eye on him. So I demanded they weigh him immediately, and when they weighed him, they said, oh, he's underweight. We need to put him on these supplements and nutritional things and medications and stuff to manage his weight. So they prescribed that, but they failed to monitor it. And then there was issues with his psychiatrist. Not sure what medications he's been on or his history of his meds. And that led to him not being given any medications for 5 or 6 weeks. And then there was more issues with his CPN. The CPN that he's had long term left, and he got a new CPN. The new CPN explained to me and my sister that their previous job was they were like worked with autistic and Asperger's, and they felt my brother was showing signs of Asperger's, so they were assessing for that, but they failed to do so. And there was just failing after failing after failing, from home-based treatments.
So this has led you to make. I'm sorry to rush you, but you've got a situation where an awful lot of things were not done that were promised, and necessary by the sound of things. So this has led you to approach the health ombudsman. Have you had any success with that?
Well, this is the point I'm trying to get to. But I haven't even touched on half what happened. But basically, one thing led to another. And during the course of a 2-year period between January 2013 to December 2014, my brother's medication was changed. He had about 18 different prescriptions of antipsychotics during that time, which in my view send anyone insane.
Sure.
It was just extremely badly managed. There was no continuity of care. And due to the lack of beds at the time, while wards were constantly closed down, he was always sent out of the area and then sent back to the area when there was a bed available, to the point he wound up in 5 hospitals and 6 wards and 8 different psychiatrists just in that short space of time. I was the only continuity of care he had, but I was never listened to, was constantly ignored. And it got to the point where in November 2013...
you see, you're still in 2013, and we've been talking for about 5 minutes. What's the issue with the ombudsman? Otherwise, we're not going to have enough time to talk about it. I understand that you're unhappy with the treatment that he's had right across that time. I get it. What's the situation with the ombudsman?
Well, there's one basically. I submitted the first lot issues raised with the ombudsman in January 2016, after it went through the complaints procedure.
Right.
They agreed to take the complaints on, and then it took them 18 months for their first draft scope of agreement, which I wasn't happy with, so went backwards and forwards several times. Then by April 2018, my brother had lost his life on the mental health ward.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. And the Ombudsman had still not come to any investigation. And they were expecting me to respond within a few weeks. And anyway, they ended up pulling the plug illegally. Then I had to take legal action, and they were forced to reopen the case. It then took them several more years to actually investigate. And during that time, there was more complaints being submitted, which they agreed to investigate. This January, they've just pulled the plug on the second lot of complaints, which I've had to appeal. And Friday gone, I'm just getting a response stating that they've done the investigation on the first lot of complaints, where there was roughly 250 questions raised. They've only agreed to failings on 6 of them.
So what are they admitting to then? And what's their response? They're just going to say sorry and walk away?
Well, that's what it looks like. It looks like they're trying to get away with the most serious issues. I mean, I have got the opportunity to
rebut it all.
I'm going to appeal this, but I've got a feeling it might not be as successful as I want.
Can I ask you, have you thought about contacting a solicitor who deals especially with that to see if they'll do it no win, no fee? Because this is this is something that could be, costly to the NHS.
Yes, I know. I've tried solicitors, and I'm not fully sure if there is a type of solicitor. I mean, maybe a human rights solicitor who might take it on. I'm actually going to phone some solicitors tomorrow.
Right, I will.
And I have got a solicitor who can help with the civil case against them trying to close the investigation on the second lot of complaints.
Right.
What I'm trying to get at us as well is the fact that they're kind of trying to get away with the most serious issues. For example, it led to the point where my brother became so deluded he wound up on the streets at his neighbour's property with a rifle, knife and bat and surrounded by armed police. His neighbours could have been killed, he could have been killed. And when the police had him assessed by the mental health so-called experts, he wasn't even sectioned. He was put on a non-secure ward, the very same non-secure ward, which he had escaped from 3 months prior. While he was on that ward, he was given the wrong medication, and he escaped again, and they only found him after he'd been assaulted in the city centre, and then they eventually put him on a secure ward. And then he was sent from one hospital to the next, and then
This call is a week's worth of. You could go on forever with this. You could try and hit a solicitor if you can. See if you can find a solicitor that will take this on, because I don't think you've got the clout to make any major difference. You got to remember that the longer they don't have to act on something, the further away proof and evidence and all that kind of stuff is. So, and you're a long way away from it now is the thing. So I think you need a solicitor to sugar it up. Don't know whether it'll be possible, but I'd certainly be trying.
Well, if there's any solicitors listening, I'll be grateful to contact you when you can get in touch with me.
I will do exactly that. Stephen, thank you very much indeed. Well, if you are a solicitor, do tell. Time for a piece of music, but before that, the stars come out at night. And this is In Excess, talking about the early days.
Where were you raised in Australia then? Where are you from?
I was born in Melbourne and my family moved to Sydney when I was about 8. So basically I grew up, if that is, in fact, I did grow up in Sydney.
Now, it's a cosmopolitan city. You've got people from all over the world there. What was childhood like for the InXS boys?
Well, what was it like?
Were you rich? Were you poor? What-
Oh no, we came from middle class kind of backgrounds. Yeah,
Yeah.
My father actually, when we moved to Sydney, he in that process he retired. He was in advertising. So,
Right.
but I grew up in a really weird place, not where the rest of the guys grew up, which was in sort of more suburbia. I grew up in a national park.
What, as an exhibit?
With no
Koala Kurt.
Anyway,
Thought I'd seen that nose somewhere before.
Yeah, I know. Have you got any gum leaves? But no, I'll try and keep it short. I basically grew up in a place that was so remote there was no electricity, and I was 7 miles from the nearest sort of civilization, so to speak.
Was that to protect society, was it?
No, it was just, I don't know, we used to come up on this waterway in Sydney called the Hawkesbury, and
Yeah.
every once a year from Melbourne, and Dad saw this house for sale right on the water in this little tiny little village, and
Yeah.
said, we're moving. Sold his advertising business and we moved up. And that, it was all part of fate.
His dream, then.
Pardon? Yeah, I think so, But it's all sort of very fateful in a way because the Farris family, which we didn't get round to, Andrew, but they were born in Perth,
Right.
the boys, and
Yeah.
they moved to Sydney, a few years after I did, and we all sort of met up in high school.
Yeah.
And we have a clue for you. Now, we mentioned a little bit earlier on that we had the chance for you to win another one of our drinky things, which you can probably see on screen right now. Or maybe not. Maybe it'll be there. Oh, there it is. I was pretty close. And that's our What's It competition prize, a non-spill Night Owls Cup. If you would like it, and they are the last dozen or so, and once they're gone, they're gone. And I'm going to give you 4 clues. Now, the type of competition we run, I've called it Who's Hits. It's not a What's It anymore. It's a Who's It. Who's Hits. I'm going to give you 4 clues. Each clue, the answer is a song title. Once you've heard 4 clues, and you have as many song titles as you can manage, you've got to tell me whose hits, whether it was an individual, whether it was a band. You've got to tell me whose hits they are. The first clue is this. What farmers say when it's so sunny, their crops are dying. What song title's that? What farmers say when it's so sunny, it probably doesn't happen often here, you can guess. What farmers say when it's so sunny, their crops are dying. Okay. That's your first song title. I think that's the hardest one, actually. The next 3 you will get. So get ready for it. 3 more clues to come, and then you can race to those telephones and tell me who is victorious. 0191 488 3188. Our next call, Rinra, is Julie from Darlington. Hello, Julie.
Hi, Alan.
Hello, my love.
Hello.
What can we do for you tonight?
Well, I wasn't sure about coming on to talk things like this because I didn't want to, bring the show to a deathly grinding halt. But I wanted to just say that I lost my mum recently.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dad. When was it?
I know. Well, yeah. I wondered if you could play a song for her, but I've obviously been informed that you can't do it anymore.
No,
so...
we used to do that on a different station. So this is a kind of music mix. But I'll put some nice stuff on. Definitely. Tell me a bit about your mum, though. Tell me, what was her name?
Joan.
Joan.
Yeah, she lived a long life. Actually, she lived to be 86.
Oh wow!
Which is
it's a canny run.
Good, really.
Yeah, it's a canny run.
Yeah, I mean, can't complain. She's had a long life, but yeah, she was quite a character, really. She had a good sense of humour, and don't know, really. She was a good, loving mother. She had her problems, but grandson thought the world of her. We put together a little sort of photograph album of during her life from when she was a young girl and courting my dad, which she was quite 23, I think, when she met him, and through the wedding, the kids, the grandkids, and obviously some more recent ones, and that's going to go in the what do you call that thing after the funeral, the wake or
all right, yes,
something.
Yes.
The club where everyone goes to have a bite to eat and everything, and it's going to go so people can have a look through.
That's a lovely thing. When's the funeral then, Julie?
Friday, Alan. Friday.
Tough. Be a tough day. The only tip I can give you really about stuff like that is, and yes, you're going to bubble and you're going to break your heart as I did when mine passed. But you've got to, and it's something. Because I had somebody at the funeral. It was called a humanist funeral, like not a religious one, and the lady made a point right from the very beginning. This is natural. It's normal. It happens to us all. Let's celebrate. Let's celebrate how great this woman was and how lucky we all are to have had her in our lives. And that's the route to take, because if you don't take that route, it becomes a miserable memory. And that's the one thing you don't want about your mum.
No, I mean, it was hard at first. I mean, I felt if when I haven't obviously you've only got one mum, and it's like you feel like you've been hit by a truck when your mum goes, don't you?
Yeah, for sure.
One of the hardest losses I think that you're probably ever gonna.
It's one of those things, Julie, that I bet for you because as a mother yourself, suddenly you're the head female of the clan. And the thing that I noticed when my parents passed, because parents have always been like your safety net. If all else fails, I can always go to me mum. And we all feel that way. And suddenly when that's not there anymore, you think, well, what the hell am I going to do now? But you get there and you grow. You take over the role, and it's actually not as hard as you would think. And then everybody else in the family starts looking up to you in the same way that you looked up to your mum. It's a beautiful circle if you view it in that way. But at the present moment, it's too raw probably for you to even see it that way. Is the funeral sorted? Is it all set? Is it all ready?
Yeah, it's all in hand. Yeah, she was Catholic, so it's going to be at obviously the Catholic Church. Yeah, so just have to see what happens when the day comes. I hope it's going to be
just remember her with a smile. Remember her finest moments, because it was. I don't know. Did she have a gentle passing, Julie?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I wasn't there because it was the middle of the night, around 3:45 in the morning. But she just basically stopped breathing. I don't know. I mean, she was heavily sedated, so I don't know if she knew anything about it. I don't know. Really, I'm hoping she was fast asleep. But
I'm sure that time of the morning, I think the chances that she was, halfway through a favourite TV movie or so, I think it's unlikely at that time. I think she'll have had her head down and she'll have gently slipped away.
Slipped away. Yeah.
The thing that's difficult for me is because my mum and both my dad had dementia right at the very end, and they only remembered me occasionally, and it rarely, in fact. So what I have to do is I have to remember when they were at the height of their powers. You don't want to remember them when they didn't have all their buttons on, if you know what I mean.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah. She was a bit confused. She hadn't really, at times, but she hadn't really dementia. She could still have a decent conversation with her. So what's so sad, but I think she kept getting, but she was a smoker and she had COPD, so she kept getting constant recurrent chest infections. So they'd whip her into hospital, give her the antibiotics, whip her out again, and she just said, "No, I've had enough of this. I don't want to go into hospital anymore. I've had enough. I don't want to be." In the end, she was pulling all the drips out. She was refusing to be treated. So basically, they sent her back to the nursing home to do what she needed to do.
It sounds though that she made her own choices, though.
She made a choice. Yeah.
There's not many people that are strong enough to do that. That takes a bit of courage.
Our guts, I would imagine, because nobody knows what's waiting for you on the other side.
It's the beginning. It's the beginning of the most beautiful adventure. I don't believe in heaven personally, but I do believe that we go on, and our spirit or our soul moves across. And I'm sure she's already on that adventure. She's already started it, and I hope she's feeling amazing and certainly fitter than she had for the last few years. I think that it's a wonderful new start, and indirectly an amazing new start for you too. And I just hope that you can realize it once you've given her a great send off on Friday.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Alan.
You're welcome, Julie. Thanks for calling.
Okay, thank you.
Lots of love. Bye-bye. What a shame. Tough, isn't it? And as soon as you see the empty chair, it just kind of brings a realization to you. 01914 488 3188. I think we're going to take a quick break. We do. So I'm going to take a quick break now, and then we're going to be talking to Sean. However, we have a piece of music first and another star to come out at night. Been talking to Glenn Frey from the Eagles about stuff. Best bit and worst bit in the business so far, Glenn.
You know, I've had so many highlights, you know, that it's difficult to actually, you know, quantify that, except, you know, it's some of the residue of our hard work, the things there have been some nice things that happened. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Don Henley and I are in the Songwriter Hall of Fame, which also meant a lot.
Greatly do.
You know, we've got just got an honorary Doctor of Music degree from Berklee School of Music in Boston. That was sort of a nice acknowledgement of.
Does this mean you can 40, do? Can you do prostates?
No, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Hair doctor. I told my 21-year-old daughter I was now a doctor, and she texted me back. She said, "And I'm an astronaut, Daddy. Congratulations." You know, and for the low times, you know, it's hard to say. I mean, most of this music thing has been a blast.
Yeah.
I mean, when the Eagles broke up, I was happy because I needed to do something else. I needed to break free and go my own way for a while.
Yeah.
When the Eagles got back together again, it was a happy thing. You know, I've never really, you know, thought of myself in terms of record sales. You know, it's always about the work you do.
Yeah.
And you know, I've been very lucky.
0191 488 3188.
Greatest Hits Radio.
And don't forget to follow and like us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube to catch up on the show and see what we get up to across the week. All you got to do is search for Night Owls UK, and we can sort that out. A few bits and pieces. First of all, I've been sent a picture of a very nice toasty, still in the pan, still sizzling, and it's from Easter. It says, oi, oi, Savaloy. Sitting, thinking, Indian, Chinese, kebab. Ended up saving 15 to 20 quid with a corned beef toasty that was wow. What's your favourite toasty and why? I'm so tempted to say me in between two women, but that was a long time back. 0191 488 3188. I think I'll go Gruyere with diced sharp Spanish onion. That's probably the way I'll go. Overdose, cheesy overdose, definitely. 0191 488 3188. And our next caller in is Sean. He's in Ascot. Hi, Sean.
Hello there. How are you? Is this Chris or is this Alan?
It's Alan. You're through to me. What can I do for you?
Alan. Oh, good. Yeah, good to hear from you. And thanks for getting back to me. I'm just on to tell you about, I hope some of your listeners like 80s pop music.
Right.
Because that's one of the reasons, that's the reason for calling you now, is to tell you about my band Modesty Blue.
Right.
I'm a long way from you guys. I'm down near London, but hopefully a few of your listeners still like the likes of George Michael and Human League and Tears for Fears and Kylie and Stock Aitken Waterman and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Because my band is just releasing their second single, which is why I'm telling you about this now.
Right.
It's by Modesty Blue and it's called Sea of Emotion, and we will be getting it out there on all the platforms in a few days' time, and hopefully getting a few people to play it.
Okay.
Is,
so where's the band?
The name of the game.
Where's the band from?
Well, the band is basically really myself, and the story behind it is that I had a career working, producing and mixing rock bands back in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
And there are some of them quite well known. People like Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, those kind of bands.
Right.
I'm sure a few of your listeners would have heard of those bands. And
sure.
That was good for me. It was a career for me for quite a few years. But I always really aspired to sort of making mainstream chart pop music, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So back through those years, I got around to writing and producing some songs which actually never really got released.
Right.
And it's only recently that I got in contact with a guy who, for other reasons, I did some business with, and he said, "Oh, well, have you got any of your old songs?" And I said, "Well, I actually have got a few of them in the vault." He said, "Oh, yeah, I'll have a listen to them." So I sent him one about a year ago, and he put that one out, and amazingly enough, it got a bit of airplay. So he's back to me now over the last few months, and said, "You know, let me see what else you got." So the song that I'm telling you about now is called Sea of Emotion, and that's the one that we're now putting it out this week again. So I've gone from doing sort of heavy metal and rock bands to straight ahead 80s pop revival stuff.
Right. Okay.
Which I don't mind. Because I love all that stuff, you know. And I'm sure. Well, I know from the response we've had, a lot of people do.
So, I mean, do you tour?
Not at the moment, but if we get a bit more interest in the next single, we will probably do some stuff, starting down south, I guess.
Sure.
Not nationwide immediately, because putting tours together is expensive, you know.
Sure.
So I hope you guys up your way will hear it on the radio, even if we don't get up there immediately. I'm sure you understand.
No, absolutely no. We get it. Well, hey, Sean, good luck. I hope it's a huge success. I bet people will be checking it out now. They'll be looking for it online. Thank you very much for coming on, Sean. Good luck to you.
Take care.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye. Well, that's nice. And again, going out on his own after working behind the scenes for some of the great, huge rock bands. 0191 488 3188. Now, we've been hearing about Nick. Do you remember Nick, who went off to the Polish-Ukrainian border? Adam, his brother, is bringing us up to date. Adam's in Ellington. Hi, Adam.
Hello.
Hi. So what's going on now with Nick?
Right. Well, basically, I'll just give you a background story about Nick. Nick, he's my brother. He's obviously drove down to the Ukrainian border, Medyka, Poland,
Right.
and he stocked up his car before he left on Thursday, the 3rd of March. So he stocked it up with food and drink and drove down there.
Yeah.
He didn't exactly know what to expect, so he just drove down there just to try and help out like a humanitarian. So when he arrived, he was a little bit unorganized. It's getting a lot better now, of course, but it was just really bad. People were cold, ice cold on the side of the road. Those who have arrived were exhausted. There were some horrific situations there, mainly women and children and elderly. Basically, up to date now, he managed to actually get people over from the border to Germany. So he managed to get 80 people in a bus. What he did is he managed to actually gather up money from people in order, donations. I think about €4,000, €4,000,
Right.
Which is roughly around about £4,000. Actually, probably less than £4,000, but it's roughly around that area anyway. So he managed to order a bus and take them all the way down to Germany.
Tremendous.
And he also organised essentials to feed them and give them drinks. He had a dilemma though when he ordered the bus.
Right.
Basically, he had too many people, so he had a choice. He could either kick 2 people off the bus, which he didn't want to do. So he had to decide whether he wanted to take a mother and a child off the bus or an elderly couple.
Right.
What would you have done, Alan?
I would have tried to find any other way to take luggage off rather than leave individuals behind.
Well, exactly. That's what he did. So what he actually did was he actually put the elderly couple in his car and he followed the bus all the way down to Germany.
Oh,
So
that's brilliant.
and then he managed to also have another car following him behind him. So this was a Ukrainian car.
Right.
So Ukrainian car actually followed the bus and him all the way down to Germany, which is a 15-hour drive.
Yeah, not close at all. That's brilliant. Well done. So where is he now? Is he back or has he gone back out there?
Well, I'll get to that in a minute, Alan. I'm sorry, it's just that there's a lot that's happened recently. So basically, he drove down there with the car, and then what happened with the Ukrainian car is it ran out of fuel.
Right.
So when he got to Germany, the prices of fuel were over €2. The Ukrainian couple that were in the car following couldn't afford the fuel, so he decided to fill the tank up with fuel.
That's nice.
With the donations, of course, that we've been given because there have been so many donations given. Then there was a problem with the Ukrainian car. So it had some issue. So he got it to a local garage, and actually the local garage for free actually repaired that car.
Right, great.
So of course he's got all that on Facebook if you want any evidence.
Right, no,
and even the repair of the cars on Facebook. So with the garage repairing it. The only problem is it's in German. So that's the only issue. Tomorrow morning, Nick is going back to the Polish-Ukrainian border, so unfortunately he wasn't able to get onto Metro Radio. He wanted to, but it's just too tired because he needs to drive down there. It takes over a day to drive down to that place from where he is right now, because he's actually in Bernkastel at the moment. But tomorrow morning he's heading off. But the thing is, he got himself an 8-seater, so he got himself a bus, like one of them little mini buses. So he hired himself one of them to go over there. And what he's going to do, he's going to pick people up from the borders, from the Ukrainian border, and take them to the emergency shelter, because the emergency shelter is actually a bit further away from the borders. You may have heard on the news that people were waiting outside in the cold and in the ice coldy weather. And basically he's going to pick them up and drop them off at the borders, and then he's going to try and arrange another bus to get them down back to Germany.
That's great. He's working up. How is he? I know he's being funded by donations, obviously. Did he not have a job? What's his boss saying about him not coming in day after day?
Well, he actually has property, so he can he can be a bit more flexible. So he does have a part-time job, and he took some time off work to do this. His job, his boss basically was quite flexible as well on that matter.
That's good. It's good. Somebody has to do it, and well done him, absolutely, for deciding that he was going to make it work for everyone. Hey, well, give him our regards. Sounds fantastic, Adam. And where again can people watch his progress? Because we had a few last time. Wanted to.
Well, basically, he's got a Facebook page, and it's called. You can actually check it out on Nick Rendell. So it's NICK, and then Rendell, RENDELL.
Right.
If they wanted to leave donations, they can do. It's nick@blingpoint.de. So that's NICK @BLING.
Right.
POINT.de, and that's through PayPal if they wanted to do that. Right. 100% goes to him, so not like an organization like other charities where a lot of it just gets paid on admin and all that. It just goes straight to him, and he gives updates on Facebook to show what he does.
That sounds great. Thank you very much for letting us know, Adam. All the best. Thanks for calling. Cheers. Bye-bye. So there you go. Nick's still getting an awful lot done. How amazing. People, when it comes to their crunch, pretty spectacular. 0191 488 3188. Another quick break, then we'll be back at you.
Greatest Hits Radio. never know who's going to call next.
0191 488 3188.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Alan Robson with you. This is Greatest Hits Radio Northeast. Thank you very much for joining us. Oh, hang on. Michael says, Alan, my mother, who's called Flo, is worried about an impending nuclear war. I've told her not to worry. She will be vaporized. She won't feel a thing. I'm sure that's made her feel much, much better. Absolutely. And just ignore the fact of that great hot steam cloud pouring in our direction at several thousand miles an hour, peeling our skin off before it happens. But yeah, absolutely, it will be over in a second. And it's not going to happen anyway, so get ahead. Keep ahead, everybody. Don't jump to the wrong conclusion. This has just come in from Easter as well. My youngest daughter's off to Highborrans shortly, which my other two daughters have already been to. The oldest nearly 30 now. I had to pay 250 quid this time. By tomorrow, she's got it, but surely this is unreachable for several parents. Then he says single parts. I think he means single parents. I don't think it's right to take kids who can just afford it. Not sure how it works. Are kids left behind? Well, all I can talk about is my memories of that. All the kids in my school went off to Aviemore up in Scotland in the Cairngorms National Park. And they all went and rented skis and little outfits with zippy ups and went flying down hills. And back at school that week, there was 7 of us in the classroom, the 7 kids who couldn't afford it. And we were in that classroom on our own. And a week later, everybody came back and gushed and told us how amazing and fantastic and fabulous and all that it was. And back then, remembering that the kind of currency we had back in the day was groats, it was about 50 groats, I seem to remember at the time. However, £250 in the current climate when everything's going up and petrol's going to zap us, that's horrific. Is it still the case that if you can't afford it, you just don't go? Do schools subsidise you? Be interested to hear if you're a teacher. What is the crack with that kind of thing? Anyway, off to James, who's in Anitsford. Hi, James. Oh, I beg your pardon. I've leapt over somebody, and it's Kath, who's in Durham. We go there first. Beg your pardon, Kath. Hello.
Hiya, Alan.
Hello.
Okay.
I'm good, darling. Thank you. What do you want to talk about tonight?
I want to talk to you about your ghost hunt.
Yes.
Me and my friends sit and watch it every week.
Thank you.
And I love it. You know, I mean, I am interested in the ghostly things, but I love to hear about the history of places as well.
Right, yes,
I was wondering, now I live in Eschwinning, just outside of Durham.
Right,
Right, and I was just wondering, did you know of anything around here? Did you have any stories?
Yes.
You know, about anything around here? You know, and would you be interested in maybe coming and doing a hunt over this way?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a forest walk. Is it called DNS?
Yes.
There's a walk there that's got stories attached to it because before you get to the actual walk itself, there's a place that used to have a coaching inn that had most of them had a dodgy reputation for various reasons. There's stories about that. Also, there's a place, I think it's near Eschwinning, Waterhouses.
Yes, it's just up the road,
Just up the road. There's stories for Waterhouses too. There's a story of somebody connected with the railways. It's just hard for me to remember specifics, but there's a railway story about somebody that was knocked down by a train and is said to still be haunting the place. So now there's a few things in Esch. It's worth thinking about because you don't just have to do Eschwinning. You can do all the other places around there as well, which would be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I will have to write that one. Write that one down, Tony. Eschwinning. We got to do Eschwinning. Definitely. Have you seen anything in your lifetime then, Kath?
I haven't actually witnessed anything, but there's an old graveyard here.
It's like it like got full, so obviously it had to be closed, and
Right.
another one was needing water houses.
Right.
But I don't know whether it was kids just scaremongering,
Hmm.
but kids used to say when I was younger that there was an old lady had died there, and apparently she could be seen, and she'd like come out and try, and if you were walking through the graveyard, try and grab you.
Right. Don't blame me.
I
Right.
don't know whether that's just kids being kids, scaremongering, or
possible.
whether there's any truth in that.
Right. Well, I'd
You
have
know,
to
and-
I'd have to
and-
start and do a proper research on it. I mean, what I've told you is just off the top of my head, just things I can remember about Ashwini. Got to remember, I've been looking at like ghostly things all over the region, so I've got a fair
Yes,
idea
oh.
about most places. And Esh is one of those that we've not spent much time in, so perhaps we're due a visit to Ashwini, definitely.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thanks
like
for the
places what
suggestion.
the place is about.
Yeah.
You know, like in itself, in the graveyard I mentioned.
Yeah.
I think there's some like Commonwealth War graves
All
there.
right, right. So there's probably a
as well,
story
and-
story too to tell about the people who's mentioned. Because what you've got to do is part of the research that I do is I always look up if there's any amazing stories, and quite often you'll find VCs and military crosses and people that have been hugely courageous, and sometimes there's stories attached to them. So it'd be worth me having a look for sure.
Yeah, and there's also in Ashwin, and there's an old Masonic Hall.
Right.
Just across from where I live.
Right.
And it's been turned into like a residential like sheltered accommodation for people with special needs.
Right.
So there's probably a lot of history behind that somewhere as well.
I would think so. Maybe it's worth us getting in touch. Hey, well, thanks for the tip off, Kath. If let's fingers crossed we'll get down there soon. Thank you very much for ringing in.
No problem, Alan.
Thanks,
It's great
Kath.
to see if you're out and about this way.
I'd love to do it. Thank you very much. We'll get round everywhere eventually. Thanks, Kath.
Right, take care.
Cheers. Bye-bye. 0191 488 3188. Ashwinning worth a visit. Right. We nearly went to James before. We shall definitely go to him. Oh, I think we're going to have to take a very quick break first. We've got a piece of music coming your way. And this time, it's the Bay City Rollers, Call Blimey Love a Duck. It's actually me having a chat with Les about stuff. Let's see what he had to say. What was the best moment? What was the time that you thought life can't get any sweeter than this? Can you remember a moment when you realized just where you were in the scheme of things?
I think being number one for 6 weeks in 1976, I think it was 75, with Bye Bye Baby, and then the follow-up, Give a Little Love. It was like we could do no wrong.
Right.
And it was the peak time. It was really great.
But then, obviously, the City Rollers seemed to come to an end. There was the...
Well, they gave me an end, Alan, because I left them.
But that seemed like a crazy thing to do, because if you look backwards on it, you had the key to hit after hit after hit. Why did you decide to take that massive leap then, Les?
I think there was a whole lot of different things, pressure on you. That we were in America, and we become a little bit Americanized, you might say.
Yeah.
And I think that was slightly destructive towards everyone in the band, because we all started to live in our own apartments, and previous to that, we'd all stayed together. And I was going my way, and they were going. We were just going different ways, and like some people's marriage goes like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you pull different ways, and you can't see any common ground, and you're too pig-headed to give up your position, and someone else is too pig-headed to give up their position.
Yeah.
And so the only option is to say, all right, screw you then. I'm off and to do it myself.
Do you want to talk about? Pick up your telephone right now. Alan Robson with you. Greatest Hits Radio Northeast. And whatever you have to say, we're waiting for you. Call us right now.
Greatest Hits Radio.
It's time for our second clue. And just to remind you how the competition works, I give you 4 clues. Each clue is a song title. And once you've got 4 song titles, you can tell me whose hits we're talking about. The first clue, don't think Chris has got this one yet. The clue is what farmers say when it's so sunny, their crops are dying. Okay, that's your first song title. What farmers say when it's so sunny, their crops are dying. Second clue is this. Any of Mick Jagger's children could say this. Any of Mick Jagger's children could say this. 2 clues down, 2 more clues to come. Do not ring up and don't try and contact us until you've got 4. You got 2 so far, hopefully. The easiest 2 yet to come. Give it a go. James, and it's Ford. Hello, James.
Hi, Alan Mara.
Hello, man. What you
Yeah,
got?
how's your night? All right.
It's champion up to now. Don't spoil it. What you got from me?
This stupid Ukraine. It's not stupid. It's just ridiculous. Like Putin advised everybody in the world that in 2017 he got rid of all his chemical weapons,
right?
Which is a lie. And because he's threatening chemical war. And 24 hours later, he used phosphate bombs at Pompanana, I think you call it, in Ukraine.
Right.
Indiscriminate, that is, like. It's just, and what gets me really, really, really up ahead, and I feel ashamed for us not doing out, is that he's just targeting civilian targets. He's not targeting military targets. He's carpet bombing. He's blanket bombing, cluster bombing, civilian villages, civilian towns, and no military whatsoever is anywhere near where he's bombing.
Now, he's still only managed to take 10% of the country, irrespective of the horrific things that he's done. Russia's now starting to feel it. It took a little while because you don't say we're going to bring sanctions in and have an instant effect. It takes a little while for those results to be felt. They're starting to be felt now. Do you think that'll make any kind of difference, James?
No. Yeah. Wait, I think I've mentioned it before. That armed forces is they've got the numbers, but they're not trained. That they're only conscripts, and they're like, I can explain. Like, if you get 1,000 of Europe army, and you've got 10,000 the Russian army, I can guarantee the 1,000 will win the 10,000, and that's in any way, NATO is 10 times bigger than Russia. That's for a kick-off. That's in every department, air, sea, and land.
Yeah, it's easy to say that, but nobody wants this to turn into World War III, where we got to find out who's got the biggest cojones.
But Alan, it's our big mistake. We haven't learned from our history. He's even bombed a queue. He's even bombed a queue near Poland for the refugees. It was only yesterday. He's bombed a queue of refugees trying to get into Poland.
Right.
How close is that from Poland? In 1978, he invaded Afghanistan. The reason he invaded that was for a trading treaty, because Afghanistan done the trading treaty in with Russia. Right. He didn't like it, and we let him off with it. We didn't deal out with it.
Yeah, but we ended up doing the same thing.
No, I agree. I agree. We've done wrong there.
And to use your argument, Russia let us off with it then.
No. But we didn't target civilians like Russia did.
Well, a lot of Afghans died. You can't tell me that.
You will get civilian casualties, right? Without a doubt. But you don't deliberately bomb hospitals and civilian settlements. You don't do that.
Well, I remember stories when we were going into Iraq. They're telling us that one of the bombs went astray and flattened a hospital. Now, I guarantee amongst the Iraqis, they weren't saying, "Oh, shame that the British got it wrong." They're saying the British have just flattened one of our hospitals.
Yeah, but Russia's doing it all the time, Alan. They're deliberately targeting them. Then you've got Croatia. The reason they went into Croatia was because 4 Russian diplomats got barred from the country in 2008. And we didn't know about that. Then 2014, they invaded Crimea, which is still going on. And the reason why he done that was he wants a Donbass region, and we'll let him go on. We've let him go on. Then in 2015, he invaded Syria. Then he done that with chemical warfare, and we let him get off with that. And somebody off the cuff of the thing, I've heard offline that he's on his last legs. He's not a well man.
Well,
he's supposed to have cancer, and he's supposed to be can't die.
There's
But
a
the
rumour
problem
going
is,
round about that. I don't know whether any of it's true. Somebody else mentioned Parkinson's. It could be. But
yeah. He's not a well man. But the thing is, their system they've got. He's the main man of that country, which is one of the most powerful countries in the world, nuclear wise.
Yeah.
Nuclear wise.
Yeah, so what do we
We've
do?
got
though?
over
'Cause
2
the bottom line is he's talking, if anybody else messes, we go nuclear. That's the way it is. Up to you. Make your choice.
Yeah. Well, he's not like, because we'll shoot him.
Who'll
They've
shoot
got
him?
to. Wait, he's generals or whoever. If you go and say, right, it's not going to go conventional, right? He wants chemical. If it goes chemical, you got World War III on. If this goes chemical, you've got World War III, because the air, it's just like nuclear. It's too close. It's too close to Romania. It's too close to Poland.
Right.
So
if it goes to World War III, it's not going to be a conventional war like this is in Ukraine.
It'll never go to war.
It's going to be a nuclear thing, then, isn't it?
It'll never go nuclear. Because if it goes nuclear, then that's the end of the world, what we know. It'll never go nuclear.
Okay, but let's say, just for sake of argument, then, that Putin's
I'm ashamed.
on his
I am
last
ashamed.
legs. Then, if he's on his last legs, what does it
He's
matter?
not going to bother.
What's it matter?
No, he's not. That's what he's doing it for. There's only 2.8 million people. What's left Ukraine up there now, and by this time next week, I reckon I'll be about 4 million. Wrong's not even the word to say to this. It's not even. It's like,
I understand why people are being careful about it, and I understand why everybody hasn't just piled in. And I think it was before Russia went in was the time to pile in. It was to say, well, okay, we're not going to send any armies there, but we're going to send the peacekeeping force. We're going to send in a delegation from here and a delegation from there. And are they really going to pile in and kill people from other countries? Now, you see, an American journalist died yesterday. We're hearing now. Will that make the Americans act, do you think?
It could do, but I doubt it. But what NATO should have said is, like I said 3 months ago, and China has surprises, mind. I must admit, China has surprises, because China come up yesterday and said it's a war, and it's the first time they've ever mentioned it's a war, and they said to Mr. Putin, back off.
Yeah.
It's because they know what can happen.
Sure.
This is just getting way out. Went way out of hand when he went into Ukraine. Don't get me wrong. But NATO should have stepped, and NATO should have said, "If you go in, we go in," and he wouldn't have went in. And that's my point, and that's what I'm ashamed. It's you. You see, we're talking about Europe here, Alan, and for the European countries and whatnot. It makes me ashamed that you see all these the women and the little bands and that getting killed, and
it's terrible.
they're having to run away from their own homes, and we're sitting on our arse and day and out.
It's terrible. I absolutely agree. It's awful and horrific. Is it not worth making a point, though, that when Russia went into Afghanistan, we didn't say a word. We did. Oh,
No, it was
people were being killed. People's villages were being bombed and flattened, and men, women, and children were forced out of their homes. We never said zip. So is it just when it's people that look like us? Is that the only time we're bothered?
They've done that in 1979. They've done Syria in 2015, and that's when we should have stepped in Syria in 2015. Or no, before then, Crimea in 2014, we should have went in then. We should have said, get out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you see, and I understand. Well, we had that lady on that we believe was Russian on last week's show.
We did.
I understand the point she was trying to make, because you go back to the 1800s, we were in Afghanistan, up the Khyber Pass and all of that. Well, that's where we were. We were killing people in Afghanistan back then. We've been all over India. We've been around, name any place where the Commonwealth has been. We've been to their country to take their wealth. And now we say, oh, hang on, there's another country here going into a country that used to be under their banner. But they're going into it now because they don't want missiles facing them from a neighbouring country, which seems to be the root of all of this. Now, I'm not justifying anything that they've done, because it's horrific, but we're not exactly singing from a place where we've got clean hands here.
No, past tense, Alan. You're talking about 100 years ago.
Or 20 years ago, or 15 years ago, when we were in
Afghanistan. You're talking about Afghanistan.
In Iraq.
Yeah. But they were interminded, and that was George Bush, and I think they should be accounted for what they did there. Right. Mass destruction,
Yeah.
I think
same thing.
I think Tony Blair wants to be cooled over the coals with that one. I agree with that, definitely. But since then, we haven't done out,
Okay.
And you're talking about Europe, and we haven't done out, And that's the problem. We haven't done out to Russia. Russia's had 7 lethal wars between 1979 and 2015 now.
So what do we do now?
We just sat back like we did with Hitler and done now.
So what do we do now, Jameson? What would you?
Well, you see, what my worry is, we're going to let it go that far without stopping. We should have stopped it before it started, but we didn't, and that's what big mistake.
Right.
It's going to go that far is because don't forget that Russian lady and all that, right? They're suppressed. Their news is suppressed. Our news isn't. Half of Russia doesn't realize that Russia is at war with Ukraine because they're like their brothers. Half our family lives in Ukraine.
Sure. Yeah, but you see, when we say that their news is, they get it, and it's just whatever Putin wants to feed.
What the government to feed.
That's what we get. We just get what we're fed. How do we?
No, you can go on. Because you go online, you can go live online now.
Yeah, well, that's what the Russians do, but they cherry pick what stories to put there.
They can it.
They do. They show pictures of tanks going into villages with people waving flowers at the tanks. They're showing. Don't think they're showing what we're showing, because that's not the case. They show their propaganda. We show ours, don't we?
You see, that's where I disagree with the internet. The internet shouldn't have stopped trading with Russia. The internet should have kept it on.
Right.
So the Russian individuals can see that, but now the Russian individuals can't on because they've blocked it.
Right. All right. Interesting again, James. We're going to be following this, aren't we? Obviously, over the next few weeks.
Anyway, hopefully, touch wood. We'll change the subject next time I speak to you. But...
No worries. It's interesting to get your views, man. No, don't worry about it. Thank you. Mate. Thanks for coming on. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
No, at a time like this, I absolutely understand that. 0191488 3188. Now let's go to Driffield in East Yorkshire. We've got Jeanette there. Hi, Jeanette.
Hi.
Hello. What are you doing down there, Jeanette?
Well, I've been down here nearly 8 years now. And I really miss the northeast.
Right. How is it? Is it nice?
Yeah, it's lovely.
Good.
Great little place.
Yeah.
Very, very friendly.
Right, excellent.
And I really, really miss the northeast. But down here it's a bit warmer.
Right. Uh-huh.
And there's loads. This is what I wanted to talk about. There's loads of real owls, as in the feathered variety.
Yes. So what types have you seen so far then, Jeanette?
Well, I went out one day. I was going to take some rubbish to the tip, and there was an RSPCA man there, and he had a tiny little barn owl in his hand that had been hit by a car or something, and he was taking it away.
Right.
And there's loads of tawny owls and things around here as well.
Right. So your nights are never quite totally quiet.
No, I lie in bed with the windows open, listening to the owls, thinking about night owls.
Fantastic. No, it's lovely. Yeah, it's great to hear owls doing their thing, because everybody thinks they just kind of hoot, but they don't. They've got all kinds of different noises.
No, they don't. Some of them screech.
Yeah. Usually when they're hunting, they do that.
Yes.
To let other owls know that they keep off me patch.
Yeah, so the things I miss about the northeast, my friends, obviously. Night owls and Gregs.
And
we have got a Greg's here.
Do they do what they do up here, though?
I went in.
Sometimes they do different things in different areas, though, do they?
Oh, you're telling me.
So what
I
are
went
they
in all
selling there, then?
gung-ho.
Yeah.
I went in all gung-ho, wanting me stotty cake. Not a stotty cake in sight.
Oh, that's sacrilege.
Yeah.
So what are they selling?
Oh, all kinds, but nothing like stotty cakes or anything.
Right. Oh, blimey.
You know, they sell the usual stuff, but nothing.
Yeah.
You know.
I can't imagine a Greg's without a stotty with some ham and peas pudding in it.
No.
Shocking.
No, it's not the same. But...
Oh, blimey. Yeah, that's something.
And they don't call them bread buns down here. They call them bread cakes.
Yeah, I've never understood.
Mildly confusing, but
yeah. And I'm married to a Yorkshire lady, and she tells me that the best thing though about Yorkshire is Yorkshire fish cakes, because instead of a Yorkshire fish cake being our fish cakes in the northeast are just a mixture, usually of cod and potato, all mushed together in batter. That's our fish cake. But in Yorkshire, apparently, and you can put me right on this, Jeanette, they get a piece of cod, like a lump of fish. Then they put a little bit of potato around it and then fry it. And I bet that's stunning, mate. I've never had one, but I want one.
Yeah, it is nice.
Yeah. Oh, so it is commonplace there. Yeah, the bread cakes idea, whose idea was that? That's just
I have no idea.
That's just wrong, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
So do you ever get a chance to come back up? Because you're not that far away, Jeanette.
Yeah, because my son still lives up there.
All right, champion. Well, let's hope you get back soon for another troll around.
Yeah, well, I was going to come up in a fortnight for my birthday, but I'm not very well at the minute, so
we
have to
get well.
Come up later first. When I'm.
Yeah, we're feeling more chipper. That's lovely.
Anyway, can I just say hello to all my friends?
Of course you can.
Thank you. Anyone that knows me.
That's lovely.
As
Thanks.
They say.
Whereabouts were you? Where were you based before you went down there 8 years ago, Jeanette?
Medhamsley.
Medhamsley. Oh, Mooton woman. Right, lovely stuff, Jeanette.
Aye.
Thank you for calling. Great to hear from you.
Okay, bye.
Get well soon. Bye. There you go, Medhamsley. My goodness. And she's in Driffield now. 0191 488 3188. 2 clues down, 2 more clues to come. Get ready if you want to win our drinky thing. We got Dave, who's in Gosford. Hi, Dave.
Hello, Mr. Robson. Sorry to bother you. Just wonder if you could settle an argument here.
If I can.
You know, in the early 90s when you'd done your programme, Robson's People.
Yes.
I thought it was a Time-Tease production.
Yes.
But my friend said it was a BBC one. Who's right?
Time-Tease.
Well, what the confusion is, many years ago, I'm going back about 20 years ago, I used to do a security up a place called BBC The Mitre up at Benwell, where the film Baker Grove.
Yes,
And upstairs, there must have been about a good 30 photos of you and your production team of Robson's People, even though it was like a BBC building.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I've never known Mr. Robson work for BBC.
No, but a lot of the people that worked on Baker Grove were massive fans of the whole Night Owl thing. And
right.
And a couple of them asked if we could send them some pictures from Robson's people, and then it was Robson's personal call. The 1 hour live show we did on Friday night, we sent them a whole batch of pictures and what have you. And we know that like Ant and Dec were big fans of the show.
Oh yes.
Jill Halfpenny and one of my best mates, a guy called Tony Hodge from Blythe, played Jill Halfpenny's dad in the show. They were just massive fans of what we did, so they asked us, "Can you send us a few pictures?" We sent them a whole batch, and I was told that we've put them all up in the hut, and it was a room upstairs that they called the hut, where everybody.
They did respect them, mind the walls fair in good frames. But I just remember you stand beside a man. It was a really weird name he had, Wigham Rowan.
Right.
It was a man with jet black hair. He was like a producer or something. And it was a picture like you stand beside him and many others. Yeah. And I just thought myself, I know obviously it was like you had to send photos to them.
Yeah. No,
but, I'm pleased to settle an argument.
They were just a batch of people that liked what we did, and we liked what they did. So we did a little bit of cross pollinating. It's a positive thing.
Oh, just one last question before you go. Sure. You know, the Ukrainian politicians are fighting on the streets for their country.
Yes.
You know, when you look at the class of politicians we have, could you imagine Jacob Rees-Mogg, Boris Johnson, and many others fighting on the streets of London? I think they'd be cowering under the bed sheets.
Well, you just cannot see it, can you? Really?
No,
it's a different breed.
I just told you, different class of people, isn't it? Because I mean, they're very quick and like volunteering people's lives, but I couldn't see them fighting on the streets of London.
No, in the track record during the whole COVID thing was that Jacob Rees-Mogg made massive profits while everybody else were losing their jobs or being placed on furlough and all the rest of it. It's a
Boris
different
Johnson
breed.
Really has become a winner out of all of this. I mean, the man shouldn't still be there, but because everything that's happened, the Partygate scandal's really not really relevant now after what's going on in the world.
Well, you've got to ask the question though, that who else is there to take over? Is there somebody else in the Tory party that's got what it takes to lead the country? You got to ask questions about the leadership
There's not
of the
minders.
Labour
When you look
Party.
at the pile,
Well,
I can't even see Labour getting in the next election. To be honest with you, I just think Labour people turned against the Labour Party.
Well, I mean, I hope that politicians burst through that can lead us from wherever they come from, that can lead us well. I don't know whether people choose to be. I mean, maybe people now have turned more conservative, literally, and they're happy. Are the majority of people happy with the government as we have at the moment?
It's true. I mean, it's sad, but lots of people I work with, working class truck drivers and so on, would rather have Boris Johnson in charge rather than Keir Starmer. And yet the Labour people.
But times have changed, and again, I don't fully understand how things have changed so drastically, because I just remember when I was a bairn, the Northeast was a red area, meaning it was thoroughly Labour.
Yeah.
And every now and then you'd have the odd MP who wasn't, usually Alan Beath up in Berwick and somebody from Tynemouth, because it was a little bit posher. But everywhere else was solid Labour. And it's certainly far from that now. And who knows how that's happened.
I tell you what, I think the one future leader of the Labour Party, I don't know if you've ever heard of her, Bridget Phillipson. She's a Sunderland MP.
Right? No, I don't know the lady.
And she's really quite good. And I think she could probably, I think people would take to her more than the man that's in charge at the minute. But the sad thing is, I think went for a Tory government for a long time ahead. I hope not, but I can't see it changing soon.
Well, I just hope somebody comes through from whichever party that can consider the North, because we've had prime ministers from the North who didn't do the North any major favours.
Well, Tony Blair had what old fool, didn't he, to be fair? He had more. We thought he was great when he first started, and what a nightmare.
Right, well, I mean,
be honest.
People have their views, but thank you very much for coming on. Great to hear from you,
Dave.
No
bother. Thank you, Alan.
Bye-bye. 0191 488 3188. Whatever you want to talk about, let's do that. 0191 488 3188. We have another start coming out at night soon, but let's go and talk to Alan, who's in Euston first. Hi, Alan.
Hi, Alan.
Hello,
How are you
mate.
doing?
I'm good.
What
can I do for you?
Great. Well, what it is, it's I'm running for this Ukrainian thing. I'm running a gig at the Magnesia Bank,
right,
which is featured over 3 days,
right,
of rock music, solo singers, and kind of thing. And I was just pushing it out a bit that we need to get some extra help, like of PA systems and stuff like that. But with some of the stuff that we have going, Alan, is it's all up for this Ukrainian help.
Right.
Help for the Ukrainian people, you know.
Right. So you mentioned you need a full PA system.
Well, what it is, Alan, I mean, we've got loads of bands going to start on the Friday, 13th of May.
Right.
And it goes to 14th and 15th of May, which is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Right.
And it starts on, and we have bands on from 3 o'clock onwards on from Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
But in the meantime, we're getting loads and loads of people, the local bands, Prelude, After Midnight.
Great.
People like that.
Yeah,
they're going to be playing, all going to be playing free.
Brilliant.
And we're just looking for some guy. I would love to have you there as a compare man for 3 days, but
right. Well, send me the details. Let me see what I'm doing.
I will do.
Right.
Yeah, Alan. And it's as I said, it's on for 3 days. We've got catering on, and the Magnesia Bank have put the venue on free of charge for us.
Right.
And all the bands that were playing, some really great bands playing.
No, After Midnight's a great Clapton band. They play all the very Clapton stuff. Fabulous.
Classic.
Mike
Prelude.
Hall, I think, is the main man.
That's the guy. Yeah, I've been in touch with him, and Dave Ditchburn. Can you remember Dave Ditchburn from the past? He's playing with his trio now called Ditchburn, Sinclair, and Hall.
Right. And Prelude, of course, are classics. They're local heroes, absolutely.
Yeah, they've put it forward, and they want to be involved with this, helping for Ukraine. It's called Rock for Ukraine, and the tickets is going on sale, and it's on in May. I'm a bit nervous on talking to you at the moment. But
so what you need though is any more local bands or singers that are up for doing this. If they know anybody that any of the names as well, if they can get in touch with them and start to shake the tree a bit, see what we can get.
Shake the tree, yes, certainly, Alan. Yeah, I was really hurt for it when I was watching the Ukraine, the children and everything, and wanting music. What can we do in the Northeast? I've asked for lads to make CDs, write their own music, come forward, put it up for us. And we're just anything we can get and do, and raise as much money as we can. We've got street food on, and everything, anything we can get.
Right. Okay. Also, you're looking for any catering help with it as well. So, if any catering companies want to get involved with this and support the Ukrainian people, get in touch with us, and we can pass it on to you.
Fabulous.
Alan. So no worries.
Fabulous.
Send me as much information as you can about the dates and times and all the rest of it. And
I will do.
I'll see what we can do. Thank you very much for calling.
Thanks very much, Alan.
No worries.
Much appreciated, mate.
You're more than welcome. Good luck to you. How about that? So, are you up for it? And if there's a super large venue as well, that would be tremendous. Is there a place that you think this event should be held? Do you know a company that do PAs that's willing to get involved with it after all those years of not having the chance to gig? Now there's a chance to do an almighty one. 0191 488 3188. Promised you another superstar coming out at night, and this time I don't know about you, but every time I hear Cockney Rebel on the wireless, it's 99 times out of 100 it's Make Me Smile, Come Up and See Me Sometime. Great song, love it, always sing along with it, it's tremendous. However, Mr. Soft. Remember Mr. Soft? Brilliant piece of music. But the one that everybody forgets, Judy Dean, Queen of the Scene. Tell me how about. Yeah. So I'm gonna play that one instead. Yeah, and we can all go, telling how to more. Don't know what the words are. That's just what it sounds like. So we can all do that together after we hear Steve Harley talking about stuff.
Just want to talk about a few of your heroes. When you were little and growing up, what music turned you into the career that you ended up having?
Whoa. Well, my mother was a jazz singer, war years.
Yeah.
So she sang around the house all the time. It was a very poor working class family, 5 kids. My dad was a milkman, you know?
Right, brilliant.
So there was no real money about, but they had a radiogram.
Right,
Big
of
old Bush
Furniture.
piece of kit. Big old furniture. Absolutely. And that had a deck a deck and a big compartment next to it for the
records.
78s and
Yeah.
some albums. Yeah. And I liked big band music. My mum was just singing all day long to the jazz music, you know, because
Right.
she sang it when she was a young woman and semi-professionally. And when I was 11 or 12, I spent a lot of time in hospital as a kid. And over a period between the age of 3 and 16, I spent 3 or 4 years altogether. And when I was 12 in 63, I think by then Dylan was coming out with The Magic, like, you know, the times they are changing and blowing in the wind. And I was getting things like that brought down to me in hospital. I knew something was happening. Not just the Beatles, you see. I loved the Beatles. I bought Love Me Do.
Yeah,
I was
everybody
62.
Yeah.
So I was only 11. Bought Love Me Do. Please Please Me. I had all them. From Me to You. I Want to Hold Your Hand was my great favorite in 63 to 64. I think I've got the right year with that one.
Which one actually got you to decide that this
Dylan.
is something that you wanted to do?
Dylan showed me that I was a very avid reader. I was a studious boy, and I was reading serious poetry and literature that was extracurricular. You know, I was reading T.S. Eliot and D.H. Lawrence poetry. And Steinbeck's novels and Hemingway's novels. I was reading them when I was 12 to 16, you know, just when I was away from school.
Right.
So I loved literature, and then I loved music, and Dylan came along and said, you can do both.
Right.
And he really broke the mold, you know. They broke the mold when they made him, of course. It's
Yeah,
just
right.
a one-off, a genius touched by the
And he's
Almighty.
still great.
It's wonderful. The new album's fabulous. I
Yeah.
totally love it. And he's very, very special.
one in 3 years visible from the northeast coast in Cumbria. Now, he's at South Shields on the coast at the precise moment with fantastic view, apparently. He says he can't come on, but he says anybody who's got a camera, get out there. It's very rare you can catch the Aurora Borealis these days. I was told by an astrologist, a guy who star watches, that there's been a massive flaring from the sun that has caused the Northern Lights to be far more vivid now. Don't know whether that is the case. However, sounds like it. And he's watching them right now. So if you can get to a dark place and look north, if you're anywhere near a major town, the reflection of light from the cities and major towns will stop you seeing. But if you can get to a dark place, look north, and the Northern Lights are visible tonight. 0191 488 3188. Rosie from Sunderland is next. Hi, Rosie.
Hi, Alan. How are you?
I'm all right, love. What can we do for you?
What it is, I'm doing a sponsored walk next month from the Stadium of Light in Sunderland to Anfield in Liverpool.
Oh, blimey, right.
There's Father was doing it. We're doing a 153-mile walk.
Wow.
Start on the 11th from the Stadium of Light.
Right.
Down to Escombe on the Thursday.
Right.
Then Malham, then Grinton, then Preston, then Liverpool.
Wow,
and the charity we're actually doing it for is Man's Health, which is a mental health charity.
Right.
Which is based for men who suffer with mental health issues.
Right. Why have you chosen that one? You've obviously got a story there, Rosie.
Well, when I was younger, I suffered with mental health issues.
Right.
And I'm actually wanting to do it to support people who suffer with mental health issues.
Right. No, it's a lovely thing to do. How are you going to cope? I bet have your shoes soled and healed? Blame me, you're going to use some shoe leather.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, what's the furthest you've walked before?
I've walked from Land's End to John O'Groats before.
Oh, blame me. Well, this should be a doddle in comparison to that. But hey, it's still 150 odd miles. It's a tremendous thing. So good luck. I mean, presumably, have you got all your sponsor money in yet, or?
Well, I've been advertising it on Facebook,
right?
To see if I can get donations.
Great.
And if you can spread the word as well.
We will certainly do that. If people are looking for you on Facebook, how will they find you?
My name's Rosie Lee Laws.
Rosie Lee Laws. And if they go under that, they should be able to find all the details. Stadium of Light all the way to Anfield, Liverpool. Can you not get the football club involved in supporting you? And Liverpool at the other end? That would be great if you could.
Well, I've managed to get Sunderland FC to donate a signed football.
Great.
And unfortunately, Liverpool can't do anything at the moment.
All right. That's a shame. They might, once you're down there, that might happen. You know, I'd pop your head through the door just on the off chance. Hey, but good luck to you. That sounds absolutely fantastic. And congratulations on that. It's just a wonderful thing to do. Thanks for letting us know about it, Rosie. Take care. Bye-bye.
I actually love listening to your ghost stories.
Oh, lovely. I'm glad you're with us. Thank you very much, Rosie. Appreciate it. Thanks, Dan. Take care. Bye-bye. Mutual Admiration Society. That's pretty good. You got a few more people saying that the Northern Lights are happening big style. Thank you very much. It's a definite go for the Northern Lights tonight. Get in your car, put your jeans on over your jammies, and off you go. 0191. But hey, take a deep breath. Don't panic. Just nice and gentle up to the coast. Check out the Northern Lights. Fantastic. If you're close enough. If you can get up to a top of a hill, a mountain, especially if it's a dark mountain, that would work too. 0191 488 3188. 2 more clues to come. In about 13 minutes, you're going to get the third clue. 20 minutes after that, you'll get the fourth. But will you be able to work it out? Peter is with us in Chelsea. Hi, Peter.
Hello there, Helen.
Hello.
Last time I was talking, it was about chocolate.
Yes, I remember. So what are you ringing about?
Yeah, I forgot to mention Curly Whirly.
Can't we? You should never forget
Anyway.
your curly whirly. So what are you talking about tonight then,
Yes,
Peter?
I was going to say, what do you think about Chelsea Football Club? It's running out of money.
Oh, blimey. I wish they'd ran out of goals today, but
Yeah,
it's shocking, really. I mean, Everton's in
It's unbelievable.
similar trouble. They're trying to sell Everton now as well.
Yes.
It was what a turnaround. I don't think anybody could possibly have expected that, because Chelsea's become one of the greatest football clubs in Britain and has been for a few seasons now because of of an oligarch's money. And now this has come out of the blue and surprised everybody. What do you think's going to happen then, Peter?
I don't know. I just said they were going to run out of money within the next 2 weeks or so.
That's what we're hearing. And
And I don't think they're allowed to sell the players either. You know,
and they can't buy new players. They can't sell the players that are there. Some are threatening to leave and trying to find loopholes in their contracts and what have you. I would hope that if you're loyal to your team, you find a way to keep playing. You don't find a way to get out. Do you know what I mean?
Things are getting from bad to worse, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you probably heard of Baba Vanga.
Uh-huh.
She was born in Moldova. Oh, what call it? Anyway, Macedonia.
Yes.
1911.
Uh-huh.
And she predicted that Putin was going to rule the world 2022. You know.
Right.
And he's calling the shots, isn't he? Really, with nuclear weapons, etc.
I wouldn't say he was ruling the world, but I can understand people saying, "Well, there you go." Did she mention the name Putin?
I don't know. I was looking through, you know,
I'm going to have to look that up and see what the crack is. But hey,
and I also heard that she predicted Putin was going to be assassinated. You know.
Right. Well, hey, that may happen. Time will tell. Time will tell. But fingers crossed your team can sort itself out though and find themselves a buyer.
No lessons have been learned, Alan.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I'll go back to karaoke again. You know, I was there last week.
Yes.
It's nice things are getting back to normal, you know.
That's good.
I won the first prize.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, I used to love singing.
Sure,
I used to knock around with a band. That was travel all around the northeast, you know, South Tyneside, North Tyneside.
Who were the band?
Yeah, and I met Brian Johnson once. I think it was the Fezzy over North Tyneside.
Right.
And we were sitting around the table. He's a very nice, approachable guy.
He's a good lad, John, definitely.
But I was shy, you know, to see. But once I used to go to the Baptist church about 20 years ago. Kensington Temple, and that's where I come out with Shell, you know, and they say, "Oh, you're a good singer, etc."
Well, there you go. First prize. That tells its own story, man.
I was thinking, imagine all the people living for today.
It's the right song.
You know where the First Baptist Church is? In Sunderland, believe it or not. It's Fulwell Wood.
Yes.
The fire of the Lord fell down, and all deaths were written off, you know.
Right.
And the word spread to America, etc. You know, it got round, and people started going to the church because the pastor started speaking in tongues, you know.
Right.
Oh, you know, they thought, like, you know, they just outside the church. There's still the plaque there, you know, where the fire of the Lord fell down, etc.
Right.
The faith of, you know, like the power, if in believing. The Baptist church I used to go to, it was reopened in the 60s.
Right.
And in the basement, they found lots of crutches and things, you know, where people was getting up and walked, you know, in the 30s, you know.
All right.
Yeah, but it is, you know, music is my good therapy for me. I love singing, etc.
Now we can tell that.
Music, exactly. I turn the news off too much, you know. You've got to get the balance right.
No, for sure. You're quite right. Well, good talking to you, Peter. Thank you very much for coming on. 0191 488 3188. He says, let the music take you over. Well, let's have another greatest hit. That's what greatest hit's famous for. So let's have another one. This time, half Scottish. That's all right. We love the Scots. Half Geordie. Well, Northeastern anyway. It's Dave Stewart, Annie Lennox. Let's You Rhythmic. their crops are dying. Okay? What farmers say when it's so sunny, their crops are dying. What song title does that give you? Second clue. Any of Mick Jagger's children could say this. Any of Mick Jagger's children could say this. The third clue. When you go out, why does it seem to take women so long to do this? Okay? From a sexist man's point of view, of course. When you go out, why does it take a woman so long to do this? That's another song title that you're looking for. When you go out, why does it take a woman so long to do this? 3 clues down, 3 song titles. One more song title to come. You'll have that within the next 20 minutes. Now, we have a few bits. We're talking about what you would change about women and what you would change about men. Why women shouldn't work. If you look after your man,
he looks after
your
me.
man looks after you.
Exactly.
That's as complicated as it gets. And you're looking after him, and does your man look after you?
Of course he does.
There you go.
I'm his A1.
Yeah, and you cook pies, and his dinner's on the table like...
Piping hot.
There you go. Like women are supposed to be doing, but they've
Alan,
forgotten it.
I think what all went wrong when women went to work. I really do.
You don't think that women should work?
No. No way.
And then, of course, one thing you should never do is take a man on a big shop.
He used to be terrible for just playing tricks.
Right.
So we would go to Asda, and then they used to have the loose bacon, the loose cheese and everything all on a counter.
Right.
So we'd stand in front of the cheese, and he would ask for half a pound of that bacon and point at a piece of cheese. Yeah, so obviously the girls would go for the cheese.
Right.
And then realise that's not the cheese. But I used to get embarrassed and think, oh, don't. And then one day, they were bringing bread out of the back.
Yeah.
And, you know, they've got them floppy plastic doors.
Yes,
Well, there was a young girl, she wasn't very big, and she was pushing the trolley out. So my husband, Gary, stuck his foot against the door, and she was pushing and grunting and trying her hardest to get this trolley out. And then they realised what it was, so they all ganged up on him. He was going mad because he had brand new trainers on at the time, high tech. He was going back a few years,
Yeah.
and they stood all over them. But
I would have been tempted to stand all over him. And what about women being lazy? Surely not. The truth is, women can't look after men properly anymore.
Women will expect to be treated and expect to be looked after, but they won't give it back in return.
They
and
won't
all
look
you're
after
saying
me.
is, I will treat him the same way I expect to be treated.
That should be the solution to this.
That's
But I think it's...
as far as it goes, I expect no more out of him than he expects out of me.
Now, that's great. If only every other woman could cook a pie, get up for a man's breakfast, make proper bait, none of this convenience food, cook a vegetable. And they go, oh, I don't know how to do that. Oh, it's green. What do I do with that? I mean, even the salads now have got to be washed, cleaned, stuck in with a few bits of sweet corn and stuck in a plastic cellophane pot. Otherwise, they wouldn't know what it was. Oh, is this really true? And what about men's bad habits? Surely we might possibly have one or two. What is one of the most horrible things you've ever come across? And I'm afraid Violet's back again. So what else do you reckon's really dodgy, Violet?
I think when old men blow their nose,
How do they do that? What do you mean?
they'll put the hand on top of their nose here, like this.
Like that, yeah?
And then they'll blow
Then they'll blow.
really hard.
Like what? Oh, Violet! Violet, don't! Oh, that's Violet. That's disgusting. But they do, don't they? That's the problem. And what about scoring with an older woman?
Back in '95, it was when I was a young little whippersnapper, going to nightclubs and that. You know, like you do with your mates. You know,
Yeah.
going for a few drinks on a Saturday night. Well, I'm stood there at the bar, and mates are all dancing with these women, and I clocked this older woman. I mean, I was in my 20s. I must have said, she'd have been about 45. But I thought, you know, she looks pretty tidy, like, you know, she's dancing on her own on dance floor.
Yeah.
So I pops her over and starts boogieing away, like you do, you know, the old man thing. And we get to chatting, and I bought her a few drinks. And she says, how do you fancy a bit of, fun time with an older woman? Well, that was it. I was in the element, I was like, yeah, let's go, let's crack on. I said, well, come on, we'll get back to my house, and then we'll get started. So I thought, well, champion here, it looks right in here,
Yeah.
In the taxi there, she says, I've got to tell you, I've just been on phone, my mum's still up, so be discreet when you go in, won't you? And I thought, that's fair enough. She says she's in her 80s, she's dead frail, but, just be nice to her, won't you? She's got a bit of dementia and that. I thought, that's fair enough. I've dealt with older people before, in jobs and whatnot.
Sure.
So I goes in, she introduces us all, and this little old frail woman sat there in a dressing gown and I have a cup of tea. So I'm just going to drink my tea and I'll go to bed and leave you to it. I thought, bless her, lovely old woman.
Yeah.
Well, she goes upstairs, I'm just going to go slip into something more comfortable. And I thought, whoa. So I'm at this sort of stage, I'm trying not to get too excited because mother's sat there,
Yeah.
And, she comes back down in this full leather-clad battalion bloody suit with a whip in her hand, and I'm thinking, heck, I'm in for a bloody jolly good night here, And big beaming smile on my face and all sorts of like, whoa, and I'm looking at Ethel and she's sipping her tea dead slowly and that. She says, well, do you want to get down to business? And I was like, well, big frog in my throat. What about you, ma'am? Well, mate, her mum only jumps up, whips her dressing gown off, and she's only in a full leather-clad battalion as well, isn't she? Pulls the vibrator out of the drawer and says, are we going to get started then, young man? Well, the excitement soon turned to dread, Alan. Do you know what I mean? I was like... And I started crying, Alan, honestly I did, mate. I started crying and apologising profusely, and they didn't want to let me go. They said, don't worry, you'll be all right, It's got experience, only the first time. I'm like, whoa, you've got no chance here, lady,
There you go. Any similar stories, ladies and gentlemen? And, we say, what would you change about a man? What would you change about a woman? Well, this is a woman actively trying to change her man.
I was messing around with Mother Nature, the occult, voodoo.
Right.
I wanted to be a white witch.
Okay.
But my husband was still married and he did forgive me, but it was awful.
What did you do then?
We had an argument and I can't even remember what the fallout was about or anything like that. Because it would have, when you're kind of young married. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He was really getting on my nerves. And I thought, right, Mr. Man, I'm gonna teach you a lesson. Right. And I melted a candle.
Right.
And I made it into a doll.
A figure, right.
Horrible. And my hubby had hair at the time. When he went to sleep and snoring, I cut some hair off, put it on.
Put it on the doll.
Got some more clothes and put it on a dress.
Did you get his fingernails as well?
Yeah. I think I did. Oh, it's horrible. Yeah. You just don't, nobody practice it because it's if you wish bad and do bad, it's a horrible.
Did it have any impact on him?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What did it do?
Well, I can't remember what I said, but I wanted him to have a sore throat, so he couldn't. And I cut the head off. The next day, he woke up with a terrible, terrible sore throat. I had to phone in sick from work. Turned out to be tonsillitis, and a week later, he had meningitis.
Whoa. Don't mess with that woman. And other women just, well, frankly, they just set you on fire.
I thought that was the best way of dealing with it.
That's just fantastic. That's absolutely real life right there. She falls asleep with a cigarette in her mouth, sets the bed sheets on fire, so says, I'll push it on me husband. Woof! Up it goes. Hey, but that's people had died doing that.
Well, he woke up just as it was lighting. And he rushed into the bathroom and flung it in the bath.
I would imagine
that's calling me all these names.
I would imagine though that split second when he was like half asleep and just realising he'll woke up and he gone, ah! And he'd be batting everything with his hand, was he? I love it.
Oh, it was so funny that he didn't think it was funny.
No.
I wasn't allowed to smoke up the stairs anymore.
Classic. Alan Robson with you, Night Owls. And don't forget, every Friday, of course, at 9 o'clock, Facebook, YouTube, head in that direction and watch our Ghosty Hab now. So you got some caucus coming up over the next few weeks. Hope you will come and join us. And, of course, if you become a supporter, then you get everything that we've done in the past as well, as a matter of course. So it's quite something for you to think about. Meanwhile, there's a quick freaky story. My apologies to Chris. I'll be with him in a second. Chris the Truck. But I got this sent by LC. Hi, Alan. I've got a freaky story regarding my son. Even at the age of 6, me and my parents were talking after the death of my mum's father when she told me that my granddad had told her that the Victorian serial killer Mary Ann Cotton was a distant member of her family. So as we were talking, my son was getting dropped off as I was at my mother and father's house. We said, oh, let's not speak in front of him regarding that. But after about an hour, we started playing some music on the radio and a song came on that he knew the singer of. So I asked quickly, and I said, who's this? And he said, in total shock, it's Mrs. Cotton. And we were totally shocked. Then he took a second and said the correct name of the singer on the radio and said, sorry, I don't know where that name came from. He was totally unaware of the conversation because he wasn't even in the house when we had that. After that moment, he used to say other things about a friend who I'd lost in a car accident long before he was born, but he was totally unaware of what he was saying. He's now 19 next month, and we still haven't spoken about it since. He can't explain it. Weird, isn't it? That is just strange. Anyway, let's get to Chris. He's waiting patiently there in Wallsend. Hi, Chris.
Hello, Alan. How are you doing?
I'm good. Now, I've got your email in front of me. It wasn't one that I felt that I could read out because it kind of, it needs to come from you, really, Chris. Explain, because you had a special needs sister.
Yes. Growing up, well, obviously, she's still got needs and things now. But,
sure.
Growing up, she had like learning difficulties along with medical conditions. She had epilepsy and stuff like that. So what I hadn't put in the email is one of my earliest memories was telling me mum that my sister's making the truck noises again.
Right.
So she had, obviously with epilepsy, she used to have like grand mal seizures.
Right.
And she used to make like noises that were like a truck reversing.
Right.
So that was one of like the earliest memories I've got. But basically, growing up, she would make up stories to try and fit in when we're at school and stuff like that.
Right.
And the stories weren't always good stories that she was making up. And
were they negative against you, Chris?
Not always.
But sometimes.
There were the odd one or two.
Right.
But she used to make things up to try and fit in at school and things because of our learning difficulties and whatnot.
You mentioned in the email though that was it because all of the attention was on her that you felt left out? Was that a part of it?
I think later on in life I maybe realised that a bit. But it was mainly just because of the story she was making up, I was getting bullied at school and stuff.
Right.
So I would have like older kids coming up to us and asking us questions about the stories and stuff, and I'd have to like try and bat the questions off as best I could, basically.
Can you give me I don't want to open old wounds, but what kind of stories were so heinous that they ended up getting you smacked about?
Well, I wasn't really smacked about as such. It was more like just a tormenting type verbal bullying kind of thing.
Right.
So there was one occasion where, and this was when I was in like maybe the first or second year of middle school. So I would have been like 10, 11 year old.
Right.
And I had some of the older kids coming up to us saying like, did you have sex with your sister?
Oh, hell's bells. Right.
So that sort of level. And obviously because she was like a couple of years older than me, so we're always sort of in the same schools at the same sort of time.
Right.
So the older kids would come up and ask questions. And
so when you went home though, and you know somebody'd been up and in your face saying, "You're dirty this" or "You're rotten that," and "You slept with your sister," and they don't use those words, obviously. When you got home, did you never say, "Hey, Mom, Dad, I was at school and she's made up another story, and this is what I had to put up with because of it"? Could you do that?
I just kind of dealt with it in my own way, really. I mean,
Right.
I was painfully shy as a youngster, obviously because of all this sort of stuff.
Sure.
And obviously, growing up all the way through my childhood, obviously she was getting attention from doctors and all that sort of stuff. So I didn't really have a normal childhood,
right?
As most people would see it. Yeah, I just kind of got on with things, and I suppose it made us older than my years, really.
No, I see that, but what it also did, from what it seems, is it turned pretty much all of the memories you've got of your childhood are negative ones, though.
Not all of them. I mean, a lot of, like I say, I didn't enjoy school at all because of the sort of bullying aspect of it. But yeah, I mean, we've had good memories of holidays and family time and stuff like that. But yeah, school just wasn't enjoyable at all.
How's this impacted on your relationship with your sister then?
Well, obviously, I still love her. She's my sister.
Sure,
we're a close family. We always have been, even like aunties and uncles. We're all still close and stuff. But yeah, I'm a little bit standoffish with her. I'm not as close as I probably could be with her.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, you just get on with it, and
I think that's heavyweight stuff, though. I mean, the stuff that they're talking about, because whether you like it or not, once kids at school especially have any reason to put you down, I mean, it was easy for me. I was ginger, so I was a target straight away because I was ginger. So therefore, I had to be really funny to try and get away with it. You know, you become the smart aleck with a thing that's always got something to say. But that was self-preservation more than anything. To have something negative like that said about you, you kind of shake off that reputation, irrespective of how innocent you were.
No, I think it's like I said in the email, it was only, I mean, we're in the same schools together until I got into high school. So my sister had been in high school a year and a half or so. And then another story happened where she had to go to a different school, to like a specialist school over in the West End of Newcastle.
Right.
So like the only time I didn't have the bullying as much was in high school.
Right.
By that time, I was kind of painfully shy, like I said, and I had like a small group of friends, but I was never the popular guy or anything along those lines.
It just makes you wonder, though, if you hadn't had that extra pressure. Again, I'm hardly aware of this because I'm friends with somebody who has an autistic daughter. It's actually not a million miles from your situation. And his younger daughter once pulled me to one side and I was visiting, we'd had a bite to eat, and the little one came up and said, do you know, I don't know why my mum and dad don't love me the same way that they love such and such, you know, who was like 5 years older and autistic. Yeah. And because they spend probably 3 times the amount of time with the autistic daughter than they did with the little one. And I had to
the doctor's appointments and things like that.
Absolutely, but you have to do them. You have to be there. You have to support. And I'm sure Mum and Dad, and I had a conversation with them later on when the Bairns were abed. It's not that there's any less love at all. It's just that one has more needs than the other. The other one's going to grow up and be fine, but right the way through the life of this other child, we've got to be a bit more careful and more even more considerate. I get it, but that's a hard shout for a child, to even start to. I mean, you understand it now, but I bet at the time you were really confused with it all.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I suppose so. But like I say, it just made us older than me years, really.
Sure.
So I never got to enjoy sort of just being a kid.
Normal things, yeah.
Yeah.
Weird stuff. You also wanted to mention football. What about the football then, Chris?
It was a bit disappointing the day, wasn't it? I mean, we should have definitely had a penalty.
Yeah, no question about that. Yeah.
The question is out, and VAR is just ridiculous. I don't know why they have it if they're not going to use it properly, basically.
Yeah, and there was some. I don't know whether you saw a match of the day last night with the Liverpool game, where a goalkeeper came out and just wiped out. And granted, the guy scored a goal. Diaz, the Liverpool forward, the keeper went out as he went to head the ball, and his arm hit his throat and his leg hit his stomach. And I don't even think he got a card, but surely he should have been red carded and sent off, and that would have had a much bigger impact on the result. Liverpool still would have won, but it's just it went to VAR, and maybe because a goal had been scored, they thought, well, that's punishment enough. But not if somebody wipes you out, and the keeper absolutely wiped him out. I don't understand it, because they've got more opportunities now to look and relook, and the ref can even go across the pitch and have a look himself. You'd have thought they'd be better at it than they are, because you're quite right. Murphy was brought down in the penalty area for Newcastle. No question about that at all.
And also the guy that elbowed Dan Burn as well. I mean, that should have been a red card.
Yeah, no question. And how would that have affected? Today was really the day that Newcastle had a chance, with all the problems that Chelsea's just developed over the last few days, and players saying, I want to leave and I want to get out. I mean, today really was the day, but it wasn't to be. But it's been a hell of a run, and let's hope they can still scrape a few more points before the end of the season.
I think on the whole, I'm not that disappointed about the result, because they played really well.
Yes. Yeah.
So
it's interesting, because I'm not a fan of Merson, and Merson's had a few things to say that he should have kept to himself. However, he did say that he doesn't think that Howe wants to be in the top half of the table at the end of the season. He wants to be down there so that the club's new owners will say, oh, you need a new goalkeeper, and you need a new this, and you need a new that. There may be truth in that, There may be truth that he wants a complete overhaul. But all I can say is, so far, so good, really. The players that he's brought in have been the right ones.
Yeah, the players he's brought in have been good, and he's transformed the team, basically. He's made them, the work ethic and their defending is just way better than it was.
And I forgive my ignorance, I know he's from the Northeast. I had never heard of Dan Burn. And
neither would I.
He's proven to be a monster, isn't he? He's doing really good.
Yeah, he's a great player.
Yeah.
Great player.
Anyway, Chris, love to you. Thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Spot on. Cheers, Al.
Thanks, man. Bye-bye. Isn't it strange? Because Chris the Truck, and I don't know about you, because you hear the same voice that I hear, and you think, solid fella, strong, solid, reliable, and yet inside he's got that, deep down, no matter how strong people sound, we're all just jelly babies on the inside. We've got all the frailties, all of the doubts, the weaknesses, the weight that we carry from childhood and beyond. It's all still there. And maybe that's the way it should be too. 0191 488 3188. Now, I promised you a fourth clue. I'm going to give it to you right now. And then I'm going to talk to Trevor, who's in Gateshead. Right. 4 clues, 4 songs. Whose hits? You can ring Chris. Chris, do you know the answer yet? Oh, come on. Shakes his head, says no. Clue number 1. What farmers say when it's so sunny their crops are dying. What song title would sum that up? What farmers would say when it's so sunny their crops are dying. Second clue. Any of Mick Jagger's children could say this. Any of Mick Jagger's children could say this. Third clue. When you go out, why does it take women so long to do this? You know, when you're going out for a night on the Raz, why does it take women so long to do this? That's your third clue. And the fourth clue is an anagram. And I know you hate and loathe anagrams, but this is dead easy because it's only 6 letters. And the anagram is Grimly. Grimly. It's an anagram of Grimly. Grimly. What song title can you make out of Grimly? 4 songs, 4 hits. Whose hits? Now, there will be an ounce of silence right now because I am simply going to close my microphone and tell Chris the answer. Right, now he knows, and he's probably trying to work his way through the quiz clues, and we're already getting an answer, 1 or 2 answers. Oh, a wrong answer. Nobody's got it right so far, not one person. Can you? Now, I've never had to give you a final clue. Might happen tonight. See if you can work it out, because all you need is 1 correct answer, and you can work the rest out by going on a list of that person or band's hits. See, there's always ways around it. Can you work out any of them? Surely you can work out an anagram of Grimly. That's got to be doable. 0191 488 3188. Off to Trevor, who's in Gateshead, as I said. Hi, Trevor.
Hello, mate.
Hello, man. What can we do for you?
Got my head struggling with this thing. Trying to think about this clue. You know what I mean?
Well, you kind of do that on air anyway. So what do you want to talk about then, Trev?
I'm stuck down with Newcastle as I usually do, mate.
Okay.
Bad result today, but now listen, mate, I thought at least the goal was done well. You know,
no, absolutely. But if you think about it, just think before Eddie Howe. Imagine you're going to.
He's unbelievable. He's unbelievable, man.
But just imagine you are going to Stamford Bridge with the other fella. Would you have settled for 1-0?
Well, I would settle for 0-0, 2-0. You know what I mean?
But that's it. That's how far they've come, you see, isn't it?
Exactly. We've went there before. We've getting trounced 5-0 before, like every season, you know.
But they've got their pride back now, though. That's the thing, and they're fighting for the club, and that's what we want to see.
Definitely, mate. A big Dan Burn. I'm buzzing we've got him because he's just another level from Lascelles, like you know what I mean. I mean, your man Lascelles, I like he's passionate and all that. But
I think it makes a difference when you're playing for the club you love, though, as well. Do you not think?
Oh, definitely, mate. But I was listening to your call just before.
Yeah.
And the day I didn't think that was a red card. Like I didn't think he should have got sent off for that elbow and Dan Burn. You know when you were talking.
Yeah. You don't think?
Right. I think it was a 1-on-1, and the both of them were going for the ball. You know what I mean? I didn't think it was a red card. And that's me sticking up for another team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
But now that I'm only I just hope that the man that Stavely sticks with Eddie Howe because he's 3 months into 2.5 year contract, isn't he?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping his successors isn't gonna be his doing for, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you'd love to think that in 20 years he's been at the club so long he's an Alex Ferguson. I mean, that's the kind of thing.
That's what I mean. You've got to get a lad of Galman, haven't you? You know what I mean? I mean, he's done wonders for Newcastle, like.
He has, and he's took his time as well coming back, you know, because other clubs have mentioned every time that a manager was sacked in the Premiership, his name cropped up time and time again, but he didn't go for it, and he's waited for the right club, and I think he's got the right club now, hasn't he?
Well, he was our last choice, man, and he was our. To be fair, now the consortium, he was our last choice, wasn't he?
Yeah, pretty much. Uh-huh.
But I tell you what, I'm glad he was our last choice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with
now
you.
The way it's looking at all, you know.
Yeah.
There's your other call out before who was on, and I was agreeing with him. He's on with Paul Mason.
Yes.
Who does he think he is? Him? He's ridiculous, man. He just talks shit.
Right, I know, and I know it's a minor sweary in this day and age, but I've got to move on when it happens, Trev. Thanks for calling all the same. Paul Merson, not a fan, just not a fan. Let's put it that way. Anne's been on. She says, Alan, I got it from the second clue. Mind you, she hasn't mentioned anywhere in her email what the answer is, but she tells me that she got it, and I trust you, Anne. But I've got a mug with a lid already. They're great for keeping drinks hot or cold. Well, there you go. So you can have a very cold drink or a very hot drink, and they'll look after you, and you can reuse them time and time again. If you want one, come get it. Not many correct answers. If you want to give it a try, do. What farmers say when it's so sunny their crops are dying? Second clue, any of Mick Jagger's children could say this. Third clue, when you go out on the Raz, why does it take women so long to do this? And the fourth clue, an anagram of Grimley. Oh, and there's a picture of the very mug, not my mug, the mug. And, oh, hang on, Timbo's got it, I think, DJ Banger. Tim, you still got to ring in because we need your telephone number if you want to take part in the competition, okay? Right, but he got it right. But only if he rings, if you know what I mean. 0191 488 3188. Time for a piece of music. Well, a greatest hit. Oh, yeah. Now, I mentioned the diet that I'm on. Damn it. And just before I left the house, I saw in a box in the kitchen one of those little tiny boxes, you know, mini packets of Maltesers. You can buy like a big packet with lots of baby packets in it. And I thought, I could still manage to sneak one of them and nobody would ever know. But I would know. So this is probably about me. It's Hungry Eyes.
now.
0191 488 3188.
This is Real Life Conversation with the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
And let's get as many of you on air as we possibly can. This is Chris. He's in County Durham. Hi, Chris.
Hello there, Alan.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I've got a bad foot, so, but apart from that, I'm doing great, thanks.
Okay. I was so tempted to say I've got a bad 4.5 inches. But anyway, let's crack on. So, what do you want to talk about then, Chris?
Right. We'll go with the clues first that you've been given.
Oh, you can't, don't answer them.
I won't say it.
Okay.
I won't say it on.
Cookie.
Yeah, but this is the first time I've actually got one.
Hey, you got one. You just got one. Oh,
yeah,
believe me.
I think I might know another one that you've said tonight about Mick Jagger's children and say this.
All right, okay.
Actually, there's a really good film with one of Mick Jagger's children. His son made a film called The Deep House.
Right.
It was like on Netflix last year or something like that.
All right.
It's brilliant. What it is, they go scuba diving into under a lake into a haunted house.
It's
really
it's
good.
Underwater haunting.
Underwater haunted house.
Oh, that sounds
unique.
Cool. I'll have to check that out.
It's called The Deep House. It's Mick Jagger's son.
Right, gotcha.
What I've guessed is Grimley, but I had to write it down.
Hey, well done anyway. It's giving you'll know the answer now.
Getting one of the clues.
Well, about time, Chris. About time, man. Right, what else you got for me then?
Right. So from Monday, there's going to be a few changes to the way you buy stuff online. A lot of listeners might not know about this, but what will happen from Monday is that when you make a purchase online, the bank will contact your phone with a code,
right?
And then you'll have to enter that code. So it's very good advice if you contact your bank or go on online banking or whatever, make sure your up-to-date phone number's on there.
Right.
Otherwise, people might have a problem buying stuff online from Monday.
Right. Mind you, I've been aware. I don't do a lot of that, but my partner does. And every now and then she'll scream up the stairs, has the code come through on your phone? And you get 3794. And then, and as long as you do it within a certain amount of time, your payment will go through, whatever it is. So that's what it's going to be. So just be aware of it, everybody.
That's right. It was an article in the Chronicle recently, and it said from Monday, when you buy stuff online, you might get your bank.
Right.
Yeah. So the thing is, make sure your phone number's up to date with your bank. No, mine isn't. They've still got my old phone that it doesn't work anymore, so I'm going to update that.
Yeah.
Next thing,
mind you, it's not the easiest. It's not the easiest thing getting in touch with a bank these days. Do you know what I mean?
I do online banking.
You do on? Oh, that's all right.
Down on the high street, haven't they?
Yeah, because you used to be able to just walk in, have a walk in, and then they shut down a load of banks, and some of them aren't even in the town where they used to be. And you're thinking, have I got to go like 15 miles to go do this?
The last time I had to go to a bank, I had a cashier's check after I scrapped the car.
Right.
I had to go to the bank, and it was 15 miles. I had to drive 15 miles away.
Well, I'll tell you that I would put money on it that it's slightly less than you got on your. I've got a check in my wallet here. I don't know what it's for. £12.22, and it was like a repayment that came back from British Gas.
Right,
and I've probably had that in here for about 3 months so far because I've never been anywhere near a bank to do anything with it. So, the time has changed. Remember when everybody had checks? Nobody has checks anymore by the sound of things. Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, how the times are changing.
I gave up driving 2 years ago, and I've been driving for 30 years.
Right.
And my clutch went on the car, and I thought, how much is this going to cost? And then I just thought, you know what? That I'm done with driving. I'm just going to get on the bus from now on.
Right.
I scrapped the car. That wasn't the check from the car. I scrapped the one before that. Right. Scrapped the car, and I've cancelled all the direct debits. No more insurance, no more tax, no more fuel. I've got an extra £200 in my pocket at the end of every month. since I've got rid of my car.
But have you not, when you say, I just fancy going to anywhere.
Then I'll go on the bus, yeah. I've been going to Newcastle, Washington, just all around the northeast on the bus. You can get all zones all day ticket for £6.
Right.
So that means you can get on any northeast bus, go northeast bus with this ticket for £6 and go anywhere in the northeast you want that the buses travel.
And you can also, if you wanted to go long term and you wanted to do a cheap National Express, you can get like 12 quid and 18 quid and that kind of stuff. So and to drive down that far, especially with petrol the way that it is now, you were ahead of your time, Chris. A lot of people are probably going to end up doing that because they can't afford petrol anymore.
I would definitely recommend it, Alan. If someone can, I work 15 miles from my house, and now I have to get 2 buses there and 2 buses back, and I still prefer that than driving, because driving on the A19 can nightmare as well. So it's just it's like a weight off my shoulders, and I'll recommend it to everyone.
I get it. I absolutely get it.
Saves pollution. Surely we don't all have to drive everywhere, Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll come and sit next to Chris on the bus. That's the deal. Hey, Chris, thank you very much. Good to hear from you. Thanks, man. Bye-bye. Is that the stupidest idea you've ever heard? I don't think so. 0191 488 3188. You see, I like the spontaneity of being able to pop in a car and say, I'm going to Edinburgh, a bit further afield than just like 18 mile or 10 mile. I love the idea. But, we used to like the idea of flying to a foreign holiday, which seems to have been all but curtailed thanks to COVID. So will the petrol thing stop people saying, I'm going to Edinburgh, I'm going to Wales, I'm going to Cornwall? Can you imagine? And we're told that the top price for a 4-wheel drive vehicle, the average petrol cost is going to be around 150 to 160 pounds per tank, which is just ridiculous. But hey, it's the way things are, and I think we'd rather be paying that price than the price those poor folk are paying in Ukraine. 0191 488 3188. We have Matthew, and he's on the line somewhere. Hello, Matthew.
Hello, Alan. You all right, mate? Yes. I know we're running out of time. I'll go quickly. I'm saying, Alan.
Okay.
I'm saying my friend Stewie, he won't take the vaccine. He's not being biomedical. Do you think he's being stupid, by the way, not taking the vaccine, being baby?
Is he just being a baby because he's frightened, or does he have some big reason why he doesn't want to take it?
Well, he's saying, my friend Stewie's saying he doesn't trust what the government's saying, but says there's people testing these vaccines, and that, you know what I mean? But should he not be forced to take it, by the way?
I'm not a big fan of forcing people to get injections and stuff. I understand why people have all wore masks and why people got boosted. And I've had me 2 plus a booster, so I'm up to date. So I chose to do that.
Yeah.
But if people choose not to do that, you don't have to give them a hard time for it. It's their choice, and they're free enough to make that choice.
I'm saying on another point, I went in Poland the other day with Ian, and then there was most people weren't wearing masks. Me and Ian were wearing a mask, but most other people weren't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you go in a shop with a mask, do you get wrong now, or do you not get wrong for it, by the way, Alan?
Well, we're in a place where some shops are still saying wear a mask.
Yeah.
Some are, some aren't. So I've found that most people who don't wear masks in shops, people are just turning a blind eye to it. I think it's down. It's got to the point now where a lot of people are not paying any attention to what the government's saying anymore. Yeah. So if you feel threatened in any shape or form, you make sure that you put your mask on and keep wearing it as long as you feel comfortable. That's what I would say. If other people choose not to, that's up to them.
Yeah, I'm saying, Alan, the lady in Poland was nice to me. She didn't mind me coming in with a mask on, wearing a mask this week. I'm saying the other point, Alan. I'm saying the weather, is there going to be any more storms this week, or the weather just could be normal?
I've heard that Wednesday might be a bit unruly in the evening, so you have to be a little bit careful then. But the rest of the week,
be a tornado?
No, I'm just hearing strong winds and a bit of rain.
Okay.
But we can
I'll
manage
do
with
me
that.
shout out to Mary, and do me shout out to Neil, and shout out to everybody who knows me. I'm seeing all the new points, Ryan, here. I know I'm going to run out of time.
Okay.
I'm seeing I've been playing the Xbox Live. I got the Xbox Live on last week, I did.
Yeah, how was it? Was it good?
It was fun. I'm saying I'm glad I made it on the phone. I know we kind of get on every week, but it's hard for us to understand. But I do understand now. I'm saying, Alan, I love your ghost hunt. Is there going to be another blah on Thursday? I was looking for it. I couldn't find it. I was disappointed.
No, there's a blah every Tuesday. We do a blah every Tuesday at 7:30. And another ghost hunt on Friday at 9:00. So champion.
I'm saying, Alan, I really enjoy talking. I love your program. I love speaking to you, my special friend. And anybody else got an issue, and just take it up with a minute, man.
All right.
And my last thing, and then I'm going to go.
Quickly.
I'm saying, Alan, I've been watching the soaps this week. I've been watching Curry this week, and I think there's a bit of cheating going on there. That's not good, is it?
It's not at all. Not at all.
Good night, Alan.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thanks, Matthew. Bye-bye. We managed to get there in the end. Matthew, just one more thing. And 4 clues. What farmers say when it's so sunny their crops are dying. Clue 2, any of Mick Jagger's children could say this. When you go out, why does it take women so long to do this? And an anagram of Grimley. It's your last chance. You got 3 minutes, 52 seconds to answer this correctly while Bruce does this.